Welcome back for another live chat. I called it a live chat, not a recap, because we don't really recap anything. But we do. But that's only if you guys don't participate in the chat. So if you don't participate in the chat, I'll actually recap stuff, and then you'll get to hear me drone on and on about the 6-page show sheet that I created. But we don't want that. We don't want that. That would be bad. We don't want that. So if you guys participate in the live chat, we will take the questions from the live chat. We'll, talk about it. A lot of discussion. So this was a very exciting week of football. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but I felt that this week was very exciting. A lot of high scoring, unlike the rest of the season so far. High scoring games, not too many injuries. Overall, pretty good week. So let's start by going around and just kind of introducing ourselves. We all know me, but everyone else.
Y'all know
go clockwise, I guess.
Y'all know me. I'm here every week.
Yeah. So my name's Devin. I'm half of the Matrix Managers podcast. Me and my buddy Austin host it every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Talk everything NFL, some fantasy stuff on Sundays. But yeah, pleasure to be here, Tyler.
You a Chargers fan?
Yes, 100%. To the best and worst of my ability, since like Phillip, Gates, LT. So I've been through it.
I always say about Justin Herbert, we stand an introvert king, which is not me. I'm like the most extroverted person I know, but I do always like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, my name's Josh. You can follow me.
Oh, Josh squared on the bottom.
JB Cho knows on Twitter. I like to answer questions of all sorts, fantasy. So if you ever need help with anything, my DMs are open, or you can hit me up. And I also help out Tyler on his threads as well. So
oh yes, Team Tyler. I totally forgot about that. See, I don't remember anything.
I'm Josh. I'm Josh as well. Look right under my sexy face right here, Josh Fuster. That's me on Twitter. You can follow me. We have fun. We have fun here. Right. All right. Let's go.
And why don't you tell the people about the videos you've been posting on Twitter? What about that?
Yeah, I mean, I work with the 33rd team. I put out 5 videos a week. Most of them you're gonna find on my Twitter. So follow me on Twitter. You can find those videos. It's just quick hitting content. Typically some starts of the week. Some people I'm not feeling. Some rookie on the rise, maybe. Some guys to trade for. Some guys to trade away. So
it's an important lesson. Self-promotion is important.
Yeah.
It is.
No, you're right. You're absolutely correct. I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at it.
I'm aware of that.
Thank you for pushing me a little bit. I needed it.
That's why I did it for you. Yeah. But, I will say self-promotion is important. It's okay to be proud of the content that you create. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, I think that's a good thing. You should be proud of what you're creating. And you do a lot of great videos on there. Yeah. So I love to see it.
Josh is awesome.
Yeah. And the other Josh has been very, very, very helpful. I noticed you were like really speeding through those responses.
Was speeding through.
That's kind of how I started, man. That's how I started on Twitter. And
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Questions, so yeah,
interesting.
When I made it way back in the like Stone Age.
I do notice that like of all the people, like you're the one who actually gets tagged with me the most. Like you actually are. Like sometimes it's just you and me tagged. So I figure you must have had some experience with answering Twitter questions. But
I mean, to Josh, I was gonna say I'm the better Josh on the show, but I just couldn't lie to the people out there. I just couldn't do it. We're pretty similar. We're pretty even. Like this Josh is pretty awesome. So come on,
Where was this Josh for the last year and a half?
Listen up. I'm better at making short 60-second videos. You're better at answering questions on Twitter. Like, what do you want? What do you want on your Twitter?
Don't challenge
me,
man.
This is the great thing, Josh. This is the great thing about recording with me, because no matter how much like that you are, I'll always be 3 times as bad.
I know.
So it does. You'll always look like a nice guy when you're recording with me, no matter what.
He is a nice guy. Look at that smile. He's always got the smile.
It's a disguise, it makes people think I'm being nice, but like
it's Halloween. It is Halloween. So.
All right, yeah. Oh, and FF Lefty's disappointed in us.
Dude, I was looking.
Oh my God, you're right.
I was looking in the closet.
Honestly, I wasn't feeling it.
No, he's right. I'll be back.
Oh no!
I gotta throw something on.
I can be my.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
That's hilarious.
Does this look anything like me, Tyler?
No.
It looks like a generic Asian dude, right?
Doesn't look like you at all.
This is my bronze bust from the now defunct Yahoo Fantasy Hall of Fame back in 2016.
Oh my god.
I know. Oh, what? He's a construction worker?
Yep. Watch out, guys. Watch out. This has been my Halloween costume for about the last 13 years.
Oh really? Oh.
This was actually a real thing. I was a locator, like I spray painted stuff on sidewalks.
Oh,
You see the spray painting stuff? I know, this is real.
I don't know.
Now there is something I stole. I'll be back.
Okay.
He's gonna come with a hard hat.
Hey Tyler, just flip my strategy to a retooling effort. Okay. Sold Saquon for a mid 23 first and a 24 first. Now I have 4 23 firsts. That's good. I like that. I'm looking to sell off Amari Cooper. Would you take Jahan Dotson straight up? Okay. Well, would you guys take that?
I would not.
Yeah.
I think that Amari Cooper has, some good years left, and I want to see what he does with Deshaun when he returns, because I could see his value actually rising if they hit together well.
Jahan Dotson is kind of like out of sight, out of mind for a while.
Yeah.
Been hurt. Yeah. Terry McLaurin's been rejuvenated, to say the least.
All
He was so close to
Taylor
that
Heineke.
touchdown. So close.
So close.
Yeah.
I still like Jahan Dotson, though. I mean, I have Jahan Dotson ranked higher. But Amari Cooper's been good. I don't know. It's 6 years.
Yeah, but I think people think about age too much. I think with wide receivers, I mean, I've always seen Amari as a pretty quality receiver. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I really am interested to see how he and Deshaun, jive together on the field. So I would probably hold Amari there.
Amari's been he really hasn't been much better than he was last year.
I would trade Amari Cooper for Jahan Dotson in Dynasty.
Also, I would send this costume into retirement. That's what I would do.
It's the back-to-back. That's like my belt. If you turn it over, it's brown. You turn it the other way, it's black. The combo belt.
This is very
It's
funny.
better than your costume, Tyler.
We can't. Do you want to see a picture of my costume? I think it would increase our ratings in some demographics, but it would greatly reduce them in other demographics.
You mean like oh gosh, what's the account called? I forget it already. The dating app.
It was my attempt at looking sexy. Okay.
I've been trying to look sexy since college.
It's okay. You don't need to try. You always look good.
Yeah, look at that. That's nice, Tyler. There you go.
I'm capable of being nice. All right. Should I look for more? I mean, I think that even though Josh said, and I agreed that I would take Jahan Dotson straight up, I think you can get more market value than Jahan Dotson for Amari Cooper. Don't you think on the open dynasty market that Amari Cooper's worth more?
What Josh said, that I do agree. I think once Deshaun Watson is in there, Amari Cooper's going to look a little bit better, more consistent. So
Look what he did with Fuller.
maybe there's something there.
I think you can get more than Jahan Dotson straight up, but I do like Jahan Dotson. Again, I say it all the time. He was a first-round receiver who came in and had some immediate success. Those players almost always succeed. They almost always succeed. They rarely ever fail. So it is just frustrating that he's been essentially had a couple good games, then wasn't so great, then was injured. So we don't know, but I don't know. I hope he gets back. I do think if Jahan Dotson doesn't do anything else for the rest of the year, he's going to lose a lot of value. So I think he needs to come back and do something. And then if he comes back and it still looks good, I think he'll retain his value. If anything, maybe even go up because he's so young. 22.
Yeah, age is what gives him the value right now, and obviously draft capital. But
Amari just hasn't actually been good since consistently since 2020. The last year he was not good, and this year he's been okay.
A word consistent is ever the word you want to pair with Amari Cooper, throughout his entire career, pretty much.
In 2020, Amari Cooper was
pretty consistently
good. Yeah, in 2020 he was There was the part where he played with Dak before Dak got hurt. He was really good. That was only a few games. In 2019, after the trade, he was traded in 2018 to the Cowboys. From when he was traded to the Cowboys to when Dak got hurt, he was pretty consistently good throughout that small period of time. So, but you're right. It's not the majority of his career.
Yeah. He's always had big games and then games where he's disappeared. That's Amari Cooper, but it's all good. Yeah, but he's 28 from a dynasty perspective. We know it's kind of difficult trading those wide receivers unless it's to a contender.
Yeah. Well, Conan, we were just talking about how Josh, thumbs up, Josh's costume, thumbs down.
Yeah. Again, I see the best costume on the screen right now.
That's more effort than any of us has put in.
Again, I would have worn my costume, but I think it would have gotten the show canceled. So I don't think we're gonna do that.
That's funny.
I liked it. My friends liked it, but I don't know if we could do that on the show. All right, Jesse. Happy Monday. How worried are we about Trevor Lawrence's NFL future? I have him in a 10-team Superflex league where I also have Lamar and Deshaun. Thinking about offering Trevor in a late first for Burrow or Herbert. Okay, so I think let's take I don't think the middle part. I don't know if it matters too much what other quarterbacks you have. I think that part doesn't really matter. I think this is let's look at two parts. So let's start with part one. How worried are you about Trevor Lawrence's NFL future? Let's start with that.
Not. He'll be the starter next year at the very least.
Not is not helpful. So how about on a scale of
he'll be the starter next year, Right. 100%.
Let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for each person, and then we can kind of get a good idea. 1 is completely not concerned. 10 is maximum panic.
Okay.
I think that'll help to give an idea of how concerned we are. So the people can hear. So whoever has a good idea first can begin.
4. I'll give him a 4. I don't. He looked horrible last year. He looks better this year, but he's still making mistakes. And then he's going to be the starter next year, so he's going to get at least another year as a shot. Like 100%.
I don't think anyone thinks he's not going to be the starter next year.
Yeah.
So I 4. I'm 4.
4.
I think that's too high. I mean,
I was going to say 2 or 3 actually, because he hasn't, like you said, he looked awful last year. He hasn't done all that much to look the part of a franchise quarterback that's going to, turn this franchise around. And so he hasn't really shown us all that much. Yes, there's been a few flashes, but it's been so inconsistent still so far that I am slightly concerned, but at the same time, they invested a lot in him. There's nothing that really shows us they're even getting worried at all or anything. There's no comments, no Ron Rivera type comments coming out, obviously. So, I mean, like we said, he's the starter next year. I think there's cause for, very slight concerns, but at the end of the day, he's still the number 1 overall pick that's at least, had a few good games this year. Because last year, we're kind of just throwing that out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the urban...
Exactly.
The Urban Meyer experience.
Yeah, the experience.
We're not going to put too much weight on the Urban Meyer. I mean, the Urban Meyer experience was just so much fun, right? I mean...
Yeah. I
wasn't fun
would
for Trevor.
Yeah, I agree with Conan around the 2 for me. I mean, he has shown enough, I think, at the pro level where I think that he's going to be a good quarterback. But I think right now what people are doing are trying to manage it to the expectations they had with the whole generational tag and people expecting him to come in and just start slinging and being one of the best QBs in the league. So, there's definitely some pushback in terms of worry. I think he will be a good NFL starter with still a chance to develop to be something more. If you think about his receiving options right now, they did bring Christian Kirk in, but at the same time, they don't have kind of an alpha guy that they brought in to really help him out. I've been trying to say that. Yeah, but the fact that Travis Etienne is doing really well and they can get the ground game going, that's going to be a big help for still a very young quarterback. So, I don't want to say a 1 because there's always a chance that something could go awry, but I'm not much too worried about him in terms of his future prospects in the NFL. I think that he can only keep on getting better.
So he's actually been very bad. I mean, I would give it 5. Been bad. Did you see the graph of his completion percentage over expected and what is it? EPA per play added or something. He's last, worst, comparable to the worst of the worst. Very bad. Been really bad.
Hey, you gotta give him a little grace, man. He's still young.
I get it, but why? I mean, there are quarterbacks who are not that bad quickly. I mean, Justin Herbert in his first 2 years was a lot better. I mean, even Tua was not this bad. Like, Tua in his first 2 years was a lot better than Trevor Lawrence has been in his first 2 years so far. And then Tua made the leap in year 3. But it was from being like meh to being good. We're going to ask Trevor Lawrence to make a leap from being horrible. Horrible. He's been horrible. And, you know, he looks good if you don't watch the important plays. That's what I heard someone say. And I think that's actually very accurate. If you don't watch the important plays, he looks great. But then when he's in the red zone, I mean, there's still decision-making is awful. And the numbers are very clear. I mean, he has been bad. As an efficient passer, he's been inefficient. I mean, not good. And then, you know, just it's hard because he still looks good. But I don't know how much of that is kind of like, you know, being a little captured by that Trevor Lawrence is supposed to look good mystique. Like, you get the confirmation bias. And it's kind of like, this guy is supposed to be a superstar. So he's going to look like a superstar. But he's not. And he never has been in his entire time in the NFL. So I don't know what to do.
Currently in fantasy, he's QB9 right now, you know, through 8 games. So if we're talking fantasy, at least he's still putting up the numbers.
That's helping, yeah.
Right?
I think that's why people aren't like freaking out, because for fantasy, he's actually been okay. But like, why has he even been? I mean, he has 10 touchdowns in 8 games started. That's not good.
3 rushing touchdowns.
He has a couple
3
rushing
touchdowns, but he has 3 rushing touchdowns on 27 carries. I don't think that's something that we're going to be able to rely on. Like, I don't think that's. I mean, he has 3 touchdowns on 99 rushing yards. Last year, he had 73 carries, 334 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. I don't think we can rely on those rushing touchdowns to carry us.
Dude,
so
he's
that not with him.
I don't know. He was that tall, 6'6", 213.
No, I understand the size. I just think that we've been lucky. Remember, there was that one year that Baker Mayfield had 3 rushing touchdowns, and that was the year that suddenly those made the difference between him being like QB 13 and QB 23. And then the next year, the rushing touchdowns didn't come, and he was outside the top 20 again. So I'm just saying, not that Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield are comparable. I just do not think that rushing touchdowns are something that we can count on with Trevor Lawrence, like we can count on with Josh Allen or even Daniel Jones or Lamar Jackson. We can count on it with those guys. But I don't think Trevor Lawrence, it's not really a part of his game. He has 99 rushing yards in 8 games. That's not a running quarterback.
Yeah, I feel, for me, if I could speak, Trevor right now is probably like a 3 or a 4. The problem with me with Trevor Lawrence currently is at Clemson, I'm not going to say he was protected, but these college quarterbacks that end up going first overall, for lack of better terms, or these they're not system quarterbacks, but Clemson has been able to produce high-level college quarterbacks for a while now until current day. We see it with Alabama quarterbacks year in and year out. You have players that are incredibly talented or have this makeup of a stellar quarterback, and they reach the NFL and they're drafted by these less than stellar teams that lack a culture and are just basically middling through the underbelly of the NFL. Trevor is going through growing pains, and it didn't help that Urban Meyer just basically jettisoned his entire rookie year. That team was the most dysfunctional team in all of the NFL last year, and they got Doug Peterson in now, and they've added some weapons, but comparing his Clemson teams to what he has now is arguably laughable in terms of schemes and just overall continuity. I do think it is troublesome the amount of turnovers we're seeing out of Trevor at this young stage, but I think it has to get better just based upon what we've seen in the past. I'm not going to bet it could get worse, obviously. I'm not going to bet my house on Trevor Lawrence.
It can't really get worse, though. Like, he could have more turnovers, but in terms of the
situation,
completion percentage over expected, it can't get worse. He's last. You know that graph. You guys know the graph I'm talking about, right? Like, there's that graph that measures quarterback. You start at the bottom left, and there's a diagonal line that goes up to the top right. The best quarterbacks are all like Tua this year is at the top right. Best, most accurate, most efficient, and the worst, Trevor Lawrence, are at the bottom left, and he's right in there with worst.
Yeah,
so it really cannot get worse.
Yeah, and I feel like a thing with the NFL quarterback in terms of the first-round draft pick nowadays, I'm more in line to kind of bet on the guys that are going to these smaller schools and producing numbers against, albeit lesser competition, but they have less talent around them on the grand scheme. Because, yes, Joe Burrow broke records at LSU that 1 year where he broke out, and he had insane talent. But aside from Jefferson and Jamar Chase, everybody else at the NFL level hasn't been that extraordinary. Justin Herbert played at Oregon, was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Even looking at Lamar Jackson at Louisville, I think taking talent and situation in college matters more than just looking at who's had the best college career. So Lawrence,
then you could end up with Zach Wilson.
I was
we don't
always
want
out
that.
on Zach Wilson. I've told
we don't want that.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Zach Wilson for me has always been Mormon Manziel. That's just the way I've coined him. I don't see it working out for him.
Good
but
nickname. I'm stealing.
In terms of like the makeup, because if Trevor Lawrence went to an Oregon and put up Justin Herbert-esque numbers, he has the build where you can kind of rely upon it. Zach Wilson's what, like 6 foot at best?
Something like that,
There's only so many use cases of the guys that aren't the typical build of a quarterback going to a smaller school and fully producing at the NFL level. Because everybody wants Russell Wilson in his Seattle years, but you're not going to get him more than like twice in a decade.
You never believe it, but Zach Wilson's 6'2", 214.
I said it.
The TV takes off 2 inches, I guess, because he looks small.
I don't buy it, but
You put him next to those 6'6" offensive linemen, he's gonna look small.
Their line is massive, so
Yeah.
fair enough, Zach.
well, he's beyond horrible. So
Yeah. He's
we'll
also
get to him.
thinner. We'll
get to him.
210
Don't
or
worry.
whatever, right?
I'm not
So,
done. Don't worry.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, the people know.
Oh, I would definitely do that trade
Yeah,
personally. I would
Trevor.
trade
Oh,
Trevor
right.
and a late first for Burrow.
Trevor and a
over
late
Herbert.
first for Burrow
For
or
sure.
Herbert. For Herbert,
I
I'd
would.
do it easily.
Yeah.
For Burrow, I mean, it's a 10-team superflex, so quarterbacks are a little bit less valued. Late
That's
first
true.
is a little more valuable because there's.
But
gonna
I would
be
say the top
either
tier
110
ones
at
like
worst.
Burrow and Herbert are
Yeah.
still worth a lot.
Burrow and Herbert are still to me not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean Herbert's
like
obviously
Herbert more.
higher than Burrow.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I think
this
Herbert
season
is-
stats would tell you otherwise.
I agree with you. I think
fair.
also that has to do with some of the receivers that they have. I do
Absolutely.
think that Justin Herbert is elite and one of the
I do
best
too.
quarterbacks in the league, and Joe Burrow is just very good.
There's no doubt in my mind I would draft Justin Herbert over Burrow in a dynasty.
Yeah, he's been without Keenan Allen since week 1, and he's still.
I think if you
pretty well.
switched them, Joe Burrow would not be a top 20 quarterback in fantasy, and Justin Herbert would be the QB.
Burrow would be a top 20
I think
quarterback.
How?
Burrow would still be a
Under
top QB.
current circumstances,
Not
the Chargers
there.
roster right now, it's
Not there.
difficult for me
Not
to
with
say
that.
it.
Not with the roster they have now.
Like,
Not if
what
nobody's healthy. Not
Yeah.
with no. If we're gonna have no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams, I don't see it. He doesn't run. I mean, not Herbert
I think he'd
doesn't
be a
run as
top
much
20.
either.
Burrow's a baller, man. I mean, I've never seen someone exude as much confidence as he
I
does.
like Joe Burrow, but
Yeah.
for fantasy, if he doesn't have weapons, I don't think.
You think he'd be worse than Matthew Stafford's playing or something? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think he'd be a lot worse than people think.
I
Burrow-
believe he would be worse. Don't get me wrong. It's just like
Joe Burrow
top
kind
four-
of reminds
Look at the
me
20
a lot.
quarterback.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me a little bit of what Tua is doing this year. I've actually realized that Joe Burrow might not be as good as I thought. Because he really made the leap once he had Jamar Chase. I don't know. I think
I hate that I'm arguing
Burrow-
for Burrow right now because I've kind of always been like, yeah, he's a little bit less good than these other ones from a dynasty perspective. But yeah,
he's definitely someone who gets the most out of what he has.
Dude, I love seeing Tua just do so well.
Tua's been
so many
Tua's
haters,
been really
man.
good.
I'm so glad that Tua's doing well.
I like Tua. I mean, I always hated
talk
him
about having
for
great
whatever
weapons,
reason.
though. You know what I'm saying?
I know. But Tua
Weapons
is someone I'd
help.
say. Tua is someone I'd say. the same thing
How good's
about.
Tua?
Tua would be
in-
abysmal, and
Justin
we saw
Herbert.
him be
Yeah.
abysmal for fantasy without good weapons.
Well,
Tua is
with
actually even
Devontae
more that
Parker,
than Burrow.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if accuracy is your strength,
Tua
you
does
need
is-
receivers running the routes at a
They're
level
the
where
two
they can
perfect
get to it.
receivers for what Tua
Oh.
can do. I
Yeah,
think.
Tua can't make any difference on his own, but he
Yeah.
can use the weapons he has.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a limit to how good that can be for real life, but for fantasy, it doesn't really matter. If you can
Yo.
maximize the weapons that you have, the points count all the same.
Man,
For
Hill and
real
Waddle.
life, it's, you can get into situations where that. Also, if there's an injury, like that's why Patrick Mahomes is so valuable, because even if everyone gets hurt, Patrick Mahomes will still find a way. Whereas Tua and Burrow won't in the same way. All right. Okay. Contending. Oh, this is very interesting. A lot of players we like here. Chase and 23 first, late, or Higgins and ETN. Thanks for the question. This is a good one.
No.
We haven't seen what Higgins does in his showcase game today.
I know. It would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Man,
I mean, who knows what it'll be?
it depends on how you think Etienne's, like his trajectory is. Because, I mean, some people have Etienne alone being, much more than a first. So.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's
He
much
is.
more than a first.
So it kind of depends on that. But Chase is, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, but when he comes back, he's still going to be one of the most dominant wide receivers in the league.
As a contender, I think I lean the Higgins ETN side, and I hate it. I don't want to give up Jamar Chase.
I think I'd keep Chase.
I like Higgins ETN personally.
Oh,
Are you guys
so
all
much.
big time Higgins fans?
I was so in on Higgins last
Pretty
year,
much,
and I
yeah.
watched as Jamar scorched earth, but I'm still in on Higgins. He's a year older. He has the same quarterback. Any benefit that Chase gets from Higgins gets directly from Chase. So you're just basically playing who's going to stay healthier and who's going to get the targets week in and week out. Jamar has the higher upside, but I think T's floor isn't that far off.
Yeah, I was always like a little bit iffy on Higgins, and I think I get flack for that because I mean people have him in the top 12 dynasty wide receivers, and I personally I think it's hard to have two guys in the top 12 out of all the receivers to have that kind of same value. I mean we'll see what Higgins does tonight, but man,
That's
a tough one.
I definitely agree because it's like as good as they've done, together, and when one of them's out in the last few years, it's hard to see two wide receivers like you said, like just having such a great career arc where we're gonna keep them in our top 12 for years and years and years to come, and not one of them is gonna just separate, and it's never gonna be to the point where one is the dynasty wide receiver top 3 and one is outside of the 20 or something. He's always going to be in like that top, but it's just like that top 12. I do kind of agree. It's just like hard for me. And that's not even like saying I'm out on Higgins necessarily, or like don't like him as a player, because obviously he's great, but it's those concerns. Yeah. And so I think I'm with Tyler and go the Chase in the first side actually.
Aww.
And that late first could end up moving around and mess around and get a little bit earlier. So you could have Chase in an earlier, like mid first, depending on the team that's, whatever they're doing.
Especially if you don't make this trade. I'll joke.
It's always tough though with these types of trades. Obviously, like in a vacuum, some of us like one side, but we got to see the team, and like depending on your
Also,
other depth at the position, at the running back position.
There's more to it. Like late is still vague, right?
Yeah.
Is that 8?
How
7?
late,
or is it
late?
12?
Yeah.
Are you first place like outright by a lot, or are you?
And if you're a contender, like I always say this in Dynasty, if you're a true contender, your team should be built to lose a guy like Chase and still be able to keep on going. I mean, I know it's a huge loss, obviously, but you should have the depth at wide receiver to make up for some of that loss with an injury like that for 4 to 6 weeks. Like if you can't do that, you're probably not a true contender in my thinking.
I think that's definitely true, because it's you either have two. I feel like it's really just two types of contenders, where it's you have the most top heavy team and you've traded all that depth, or you do have all this depth and you're able to withstand all these injuries and just totally be fine. So I agree with that. Like knowing some of these other parts and would definitely kind of further solidify our standing on this.
But vacuum value wise, I mean, I think
it's close.
I can see people taking it.
Close.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're pretty, it looks like we're pretty evenly split too. It's like we got 2 or 3 on each side.
Yeah. All right. I need 35 from Higgins and Bryant. Am I winning?
Bryant.
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Anyone else need like 50 plus from Mixon tonight?
No. I wouldn't have any Mixon to need it.
I love Mixon.
I hate Mixon.
See, that's one of the guys. That's one of the guys that I love.
Mixon is one of the most overrated running backs of like all of them.
But I drafted
volume
him in
only.
a dynasty startup before last year in like the 6th round or something because everyone was
going
so
in the
out on
6th
him.
round, Conan.
In a non.
He wasn't going in this.
I'll tell you right now.
Bullshit. He wasn't going in the 6th
Maybe
round.
all right. Maybe he's like the 4th or 5th
like
round.
fourth
Much
round.
better.
Yeah,
Let's.
yeah.
See, we don't want to
you
become
would
the
be-
live
that's
show
fair.
of fake news. We don't want that. We don't want to become the live show of fake news. That we don't want people to say that about us. That we make things up. We don't want that.
In
There's
an
already enough
18
shows-
Superflex league, I bet
There's
he goes
already
in-
enough
went in the
shows
6th
that
round.
do that. I
5-team
don't need to join
Superflex,
that group.
for sure.
But no, he's been outside of 2018. He's been incredibly inefficient every other year of his career.
I've always wanted
Everyone
him to
says
have
he's
more of a
elite,
pass
but he's
catching
not. He's not only not elite. There are times where he's not even good.
Yeah.
This year being one of them, by the way. He's being carried by putrid receiving volume that he's gotten, but hasn't done much with. Not impressed with Joe Mixon. Is ETN a top 5 dynasty running back? Okay. Let's just answer this with a number. Travis Etienne is your dynasty RB what? No. I want a number. I don't want it doesn't help anyone. Fine, I'll start. I have him at 4.
Wow.
Where's Brees Hall there?
2.
We count Bijan.
No.
I mean, I guess my toughest decision would be like him or Kenneth Walker, really.
Yeah, I have Walker at 3.
He'd probably be.
If they were the same age, I'd have ETN ahead, but they're not. With running backs, every year counts.
I'll go 5, 6 maybe.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty safe to say he's like in or approaching that top 5 to 7 for everyone, right? Like,
I mean,
Can
I
I
think
be on
there's
top
really
10?
7. There's 7 guys who are ahead, and DeAndre Swift is not going to be in that conversation. Is that for me is in starting to become in the next conversation. He's
I'll still
clearly
put Swift
7.
ahead of him.
Really? I'm tired of DeAndre
So
Swift. DeAndre Swift is now. It's too many excuses. We're in year 3, and he can never gain a large share of the workload. Every time he gets hurt, it takes way too long to come back. It takes a long time. Every time he gets hurt, it takes twice as long as it says it's going to. And then he comes back, and he doesn't get the full workload. That sounds like not a running back I'm investing a high draft capital pick in dynasty.
Yeah,
That sounds
I
how
mean,
you.
seeing
That sounds
Jamal
how
Williams.
you lose your dynasty league by investing.
Sounds more like a
high-value
situation
pick.
thing. I don't know.
No, it's not. Because if he were really that good, the Lions could easily give him more work. A lot of people said, myself included, that Travis Etienne was not meant to get a workhorse role. The Jaguars disagreed. They thought that he was good enough that they should give him a workhorse role. The Lions now were 3 years of this. They clearly don't feel that way. So it doesn't matter. So he's not going to get a workhorse role. He had 52% of the snaps in the last game. He was constantly being pulled off at the goal line for Jamal Williams, who was not more effective, but they play him anyway. And then Craig Reynolds, as Conan would say, a third running back was appearing at times. We don't like that. Why? We don't want a third running back to appear. So this is no good. So DeAndre Swift, for me, is now is RB7 for me in Dynasty. I just think it's time to reevaluate what we have in DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is what he is. He's going to get you some points. And, if the offense is ever good, he has Austin Eckler upside, but the offense has to be good for him to
could
do
have
that.
made this conversation about freaking Travis Etienne 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Like, it could have been the same exact thing. Like,
But I have a
don't
longer
know.
sample size of them not giving it to DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift is uber efficient.
No, I
He's
said it.
their
I
pass
actually said
catching
it about
back.
I said it about DeAndre Swift 2 weeks ago. If he
He's their
doesn't
pass
come
catching
back after this injury
sure.
and get the full workload immediately, not 4 weeks from now, immediately, that I was
give him
going
one
to
more
have a different conversation. I said it before he came back. I said this is what I was going to do. If he did not come back and get the workload immediately, then I was going to have a reevaluation of DeAndre Swift's value. Well, now it happened, and I don't see any reason why I shouldn't keep my word. Because that's how I felt at the time.
I
and
didn't.
this
I
is
didn't
exactly
say
what
that,
I was
though.
concerned
Thank
about.
God.
I think also at the baseline, like as fired up as Tyler might seem, he did still say he's his RB7. So it's not
7
like
is
Tyler
not
has
20.
moved him outside of the range of
Yeah.
RB1s or anything like that in Dynasty. So, I mean, I think it fluctuates a little bit between those kind of, even 5 to 7, like in the top 10. I think there's always room for some fluctuation. I mean, would you guys consider JT still the number 1 RB?
Barely.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, but then who is it?
Yes, but
right?
he's not in his own tier, I think is my answer to that question.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's kind of like the tier has kind of melded into its own. And even though Christian McCaffrey's older, and I know that's a huge thing with RB Apex and everything like that at like 24.5, 25 years, McCaffrey, I think, is in the top 5.
Yeah, I have him at 6. I have him ahead of Swift.
Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, I feel like I have all the same, like, I think you laid it out perfectly, Tyler, where I've been so high and I keep seeing the same thing where he has the same role. It doesn't matter what happens. He comes back from an injury or someone, it's like he has the same role. He plays third downs. He plays in obvious passing downs, and then he has no goal line. He has very little short or, early down and short yardage work. Like he has this pretty defined role, and it doesn't seem like the team wants to give him more. And it's really frustrating, obviously, because we know he's very talented, very talented, right? And but the team's like, no, like we don't want him punching in our touchdowns. Like that's Jamal Williams. Like no, like short yardage. Like no, let's just get out. Craig Reynolds out there. Like it's just he doesn't, for whatever reason, the team doesn't want him to be like just the obvious leader in all different running back situations. And
Williams scored 2 more TDs, right? This past week.
Yeah,
right?
2 more.
TDs.
And he got both 2 goal line carries on the game.
Yeah.
Both went to Jamal, both punched in.
You can't have
by
that.
him. And
Even
so
if you
exactly
only count the games they've played, Jamal Williams is averaging 14.6 carries a game, and DeAndre Swift only 8. 8 is not acceptable. That's not a top 5 dynasty running back. You have to carry the ball. Because if you don't carry the ball, you don't get goal line carries. And if you don't get goal line carries, you can't be a top 5 dynasty running back.
Well, he had the same amount of carries 2 weeks ago, and he was a top 5 running back. So
and now he's not because he's come back. No, he's come back from the injury.
I get it.
No, it's time. The problem is if you keep making you can do what you would say and continue to make the same mistake over and over again, or you cannot do that. And finally, which is what I said, that this was his last chance. And now the last chance has been blown. It took too long to come back from the injury. The bye week happened. He still wasn't back. And then, now he came back and he wasn't used appropriately. So that's it. I mean, it's time to make some changes.
Swift had 15 carries in week 1 and hasn't had more than 7 since.
I know.
Jamal Williams has had over 10 every single week of the season. Like it's just frustrating because I like we all know he's awesome. He's all in our top 7. Like it's not like he's sliding out of the top 10, not at all. Like he was just closer to 3, closer to the top before just seeing the same thing over and over again. And it's
also
and I kind of agree. It's like I feel like I can't have him as my RB3 or 4 in Dynasty anymore, where I kind of really liked him. Especially with some guys sliding out, falling out, getting injured.
There's like 5 guys in the same tier.
Yeah,
right?
no, you're right. But
he's falling out of that tier, is what I'm saying, though.
Picking.
To me, he's falling out of that tier.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
It's a crowded room, and Swift just doesn't have the usage to make me want him to be above other guys. It's tough. Like, I love DeAndre Swift. Efficiency-wise, he's electric whenever he has the ball. And whenever he's on the field, he's really fun to watch.
I'd
still rather have DeAndre Swift than Najee Harris because at least DeAndre Swift is still good.
Yeah,
Najee Harris is washed up.
DeAndre Swift is sitting here in the new Aaron Jones role. It's like Jamal Williams goes to a backfield and says, "Hey, you're better than I am, but they like me a lot more."
Hey,
like
I gotta give Jamal Williams a significant amount of credit because on a putrid offense, he's averaged 4.5 yards per carry and scored.
They have a really good offensive line.
Their offensive line is really good.
The offense
probably just top
bad late. It was good in the beginning, then it was bad.
He's also a really cool guy, which is
his personality.
Swag Daddy.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. I've shouted that
his
out
interviews
before.
are gold, man. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
If you need evidence in the NFL or personality wins out, Jamal Williams.
Swag Daddy is the best, and we know it. But,
they didn't want me. They took me in They gave me they fed me. He's so funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But low key, he could be
So-
looking toward a Raheem Mostert career revival. I mean, Raheem Mostert is a starting running back at 30.
Yeah, I have him in several places. I'm glad to see him
Who?
getting his
Jamal
Jamal
Williams.
Jamal Williams. Yeah.
So I have a quick
Gosh,
question.
that's for you.
Is
Dave. Yeah,
talking
that's what I'm
about
talking
ETN. Is ETN or is Ken Walker ahead of ETN in everyone's dynasty?
Speaking of Ken Walker, he doesn't get any catches. We all know catches are a lot more valuable than.
I was about to
rushes.
bring up that I think I have ETN over.
I
If they were the
love
same
ETN.
age, if they were the same age and ETN didn't have the injury, he'd be ahead. But they're not.
Yeah.
And he did. So
Fair.
Walker's ahead.
That's fair.
So how many catches do you want him to have per game? I mean, it's not that he hasn't been catching at all. It's just it hasn't really been like
He's been
volume
the
that
starter
you're
since
kinda
week
looking
5,
for.
and he has 3 catches. Kenneth Walker.
yeah, that was his highest catch. He had a couple 2-catch games.
No, he's had 3 catches since week 5, is what I'm saying, when he's been the starter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
In 4 weeks.
am I slightly concerned? Sure, but everyone has warts. See, and this is why the obvious thing is that Bijan Robinson is going to enter the NFL as the Dynasty
Yeah,
RB1 by a mile because everyone else has warts. You used to say that Jonathan Taylor didn't have warts, but Jonathan Taylor's only good year has been week 1, and he hasn't been good since.
And it's because he's on a bad team, and maybe that's a wart for Bijan when he comes in.
I don't
Maybe.
think it's because I think it's partially because he's on a bad team. I think it's partially because he's hurt
Yeah,
and
he's
came
going-
back
he's
too
going with the
soon.
ankle. You're right.
And
Hey, you know what's always an interesting question too, though, is like guys like Brees Hall. I mean, we were just crowning him the
he was the
Dynasty
RB1
RB1,
by a
right?
lot. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in his
So
own
the
tier.
question to me is for you guys, like, I'm selling as if he's the top Dynasty RB. Like, obviously, if I'm selling, but I'm not gonna buy at the price that he was when he was healthy. Like, regardless of
So-
the ACL and like coming back from it and being 100% and things like that. Like, I've seen guys like Javonte Williams who was in. I think he never should have been where he had been in the Dynasty community. Honestly,
I have some
he's another guy
news,
with
by the way.
great, production,
Bateman?
efficiency.
That too, but
But
he's so irrelevant that he's
Exactly.
barely worth
So-
talking about.
But I've seen people sell Javante. So if you have Javante or Breeze and you can get back right now that kind of 1.01, even to 1.10 type of Dynasty RB like value, I would sell in a heartbeat.
Let me say this, and this is why with running backs, every year of age matters. It's not because it matters when they're playing. It matters if something bad happens.
Yep.
If Kenneth Walker got hurt, he'd lose less value than if Travis Etienne got hurt again. If Travis Etienne got hurt again and missed more time, he's a year and a half older and already has one serious injury. His value would crater. Whereas Kenneth Walker, it wouldn't be the same kind of value drop. That's why Kenneth Walker is higher for me in my dynasty rankings, even though I agree with you that if they're both playing, Travis Etienne's ceiling is higher. But dynasty rankings are about more than that. You have to factor in the bad side, the downside. And with a running back, that's what everyone's been telling me. Well, Deebo Samuel's value will go back up when Christian McCaffrey is injured. And I'm like, fair to say that I don't know, there's no evidence that Christian McCaffrey is going to be injured more than anyone else, but it's fair to say, and you have to prepare for any running back being injured. No running back is safe. Any running back can get hurt at any time. So you have to factor into their value what happens if they're hurt. How much value would they lose? How much would it affect them? And the more it would affect them, that's kind of orders my rankings at the top. That's why Brees Hall was so high also, because he's younger than everyone else. Brees Hall's a year younger than Kenneth Walker and 2.5 years younger than JT. So that's why I was comfortable putting him at 1. Now we see what happens. He tore his ACL and he's still 2, 3, or 4 for most people.
Top 5.
Yeah, he's top 5 for almost everyone still. If the same thing had happened to Jonathan Taylor, would he be? Going into 2.5 years older, if he tore his ACL, would he still be top? Would he still have the same value? I'm not sure he would, especially after how he struggled.
The biggest one is like CMC. Like if he were he's in
They're
most
vulnerable,
people's top
yeah.
7. It's like if he were to have another injury,
Well,
it's
also,
it's over.
Both
It's
CMC
like-
and Barkley, I feel, are on like people's last nerve with the number of injuries they have. So if either of them
Absolutely.
has one more bad injury, then people can be like, oh, well, no, they never trust them again. even
No,
if it's
you're
not
not
true.
buying.
They would fall out of top 12, I think.
They might, yeah.
If they got another big injury.
So that's why they're a little bit lower for me. And DeAndre Swift is starting to get it. Is also why he's low, because he has yet to complete a season. This is the third year in a row where he's missed time, and it seems like he always misses time. So he's starting to get into that area where the market value is going to be lower. And at the end of the day, I don't want trading is, as Toronto Dave just said, trading makes fantasy fun, and I agree with that. But if you pick a player who nobody wants and who has a value that's in decline because people don't want him because he's always injured, that is a part of his market value. So I'm not sure I can factor that in, that I don't want to pick DeAndre Swift because he has a perception that he's always hurt, always misses time, and his trade value is lower.
He's not always hurt. Let's just, he hasn't
It doesn't
had a
matter.
major injury.
It doesn't matter.
You were just saying major injuries before that, though. You did say it mattered. You're like, a major injury is what matters most. You're like,
no, it doesn't matter because for
a major injury,
his market
if they just have an ankle injury, they're not going to be.
His market value is down because he's constantly missing.
I know it is. You are correct, but I think
but what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter who's technically correct. What matters is what moves the market value. Because at the end of the day, you want to build, one of the things you want to do in building a dynasty roster, and I talk about this all the time, is you want to build market value and trade value so you have flexible pieces that you can move around. And at this point, I feel like DeAndre Swift is not someone who is flexible and someone you can move very easily. I feel like people don't want him. And
I think people want running back 7. People want the running back 7.
Well, he was the running back. But he's not what he was. He's not the running back 2 or 3 that he was for almost everyone for the last 2 years. That's changed. His perception has changed.
But at the same time, I don't think the value has moved drastically downward.
While
the ranking has.
I think it has. I think it's hard to trade him now. I think it's hard to trade him now. It's hard to get rid of him. You have to take a loss. I agree. Well, Josh got in a costume just for you. Week 9. Oh, you don't have to bleep it. Week 9 will be a clusterfuck for most of us. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. What are they going to do? Take the show off the air?
Come on, there's kids watching, Tyler.
No, there aren't. Nobody would let no parent would be dumb enough to let their children watch me.
Don't let your kids watch this.
Yes, whatever. I mean,
there are a lot of running backs here. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just looking at these teams. I was like, yeah, the running backs are going to be rough next week.
Yeah.
Josh is helping people build their fantasy roster.
I think that's going back to like a original conversation we were having.
Yeah. JT downgraded to high-end RB2 the rest of the season. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, there will be, I know he's been frustrating, but there will be better weeks.
I mean, with Ellinger at the helm, I think it's like it actually is less likely for him to have some big games with a quarterback that they don't really have to worry about. Just stack the box, So I do worry a little bit about his prospects for the rest of the season.
I do like, though, that his usage went up from his first week back from the ankle to the second.
Yeah.
The usage went up. I do like that. And
Ellinger didn't look too bad, though. He didn't look too bad.
No, he didn't look that bad. I mean, he didn't look any worse than Ryan.
I actually think Ryan wasn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's
Ryan
like I have maybe because I'm an old guy. It's like I have a soft spot for like older guys in the league. Like people who are cast off as like they're done, they're washed up. Like I almost feel like I have to fend for them. Like Matt Ryan had some great games this year.
Well, he won't be playing anymore. So I think he's played his last NFL game. So I really do. I think that was it.
Yeah. That would be a really sad way to go. They did him pretty dirty, I think.
Well, I just think Matt Ryan this year's just been frustrating because for JT, this whole thing with him last year was Carson Wentz was, for lack of better terms, a game manager most weeks, where JT could really do the heavy lifting, getting like 20 to 25 carries, scoring touchdowns. Frank Reich said, hey, dude, Matt Ryan's our Lord and Savior this year. Week 1, he threw the ball 50 times. They really just kind of ditched the identity they had last year. And yes, the team is different. They're dealing with injuries. The offensive line has been way worse this year than it was last year. But downgrading him to an RB2 rest of season just seems a little disingenuous. Taylor still has the talent, and he's coming off of an ankle injury. It's not like he blew his knee out. I think Taylor's going to be fine. And even with Sam at quarterback, I think if the Colts want to win more games than they lose, they need to get him the ball 20 to 25 times if the body can handle it.
Yeah.
He's not going to continue. I mean, we had this with Dalvin Cook at times.
Mhm.
He's not going to have 107 carries for 1 touchdown and have that type of pace continue. That's just not possible.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. You don't get that many carries. And
Taylor
only one.
almost had a couple touchdowns this
Right.
this
So what I'm
weekend.
saying is that positive touchdown regression is in
Yeah.
order.
Yeah, like he had a couple goal line carries where he was stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't calling for him to be downgraded. I was just kind of expressing some of my concerns.
And it's
with
not
him.
like the Colts have a lot of rushing touchdowns. I mean, the Colts, even though Jonathan Taylor missed 2 games, the Colts only have 3 rushing touchdowns among their entire team. It's not like he's getting vultured. And I believe one of those Deion Jackson touchdowns, the Deion Jackson touchdown happened in a game Jonathan Taylor didn't play.
Yo, that was the craziest
Hines
week.
stole
wasn't
one
it?
today, though.
Deion
Hines
Jackson,
did,
or
yeah.
yesterday.
That was a crazy week, man.
But Nyheim Hines, I mean, Jonathan Taylor still has almost similar targets to Nyheim Hines, which I find hard to believe, but it's true. He's just done nothing with the targets.
I feel like
oddly.
that's kind of inflated by last week where he had 8 targets, because I don't like that's like we don't see really near that on a regular basis.
Yeah, he had 0 this week.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, so I mean, his role in like the rushing game definitely grew, and obviously we weren't going to expect him to get 10 carries every week. Like that's not happening. But it's just like he actually got less opportunities as a whole.
I do
think
think
this week is just like,
I do think what's fair to say
I don't know.
is about this question is that I'm not just gonna no thought rank Jonathan Taylor in the top 5.
I am very worried.
Yeah.
I am very worried.
But it's
I
the kind of
I don't
thing
think
where
he's my
there's nothing
RB1
you
in Dynasty.
There's
I
no
don't.
advice I can give you, because what are you gonna do if you're not? You're gonna start.
You're
him
still
anyway.
starting. Yeah, exactly. It's
So
not.
there's no
it's-
real advice I can give you. There's nothing I can tell you to do. I would consider trying to trade him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would trade him for value.
Is this?
That's Austin. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That. I know. I
fine with
think
it.
I had made my Jonathan Taylor trade over the summer on a team that was kind of contending, but I just saw the value and wanted to just take it. And right now it's looking great because it looks like it'll be the 102 that I got this year, upcoming
Nice.
year, included in that. But the other pieces don't look too great. Elijah Moore.
Oh no,
No.
no!
I got, it's 3 or 4 picks, all first and stuff. So it was like I was totally fine getting 3 firsts and Elijah Moore for him, especially because I was hoping this year would be early. I'm likely going to get a top 3 pick in that. So, I mean,
At least you got the pick.
exactly. Elijah,
goodness.
it was tough. Elijah, I was like, oh, you want to just like throw him in there too, like so I get a player back, and just like I had such high hopes. Obviously, we all did, but
I did not. But
sheesh.
yeah.
Oh well,
You got that one right.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. Because
It's weird though. I feel like there were some different camps about that. There was the Garrett Wilson is better camp. There was the Elijah Moore is better camp. And then
the
there
Corey
was
Davis is better camp.
Well, that camp I was not in.
that's
He goes in
actually
this
the
third
Jets
camp you're
coaching
about to bring
staff.
up.
That's
the coaching staff. That's
well, I think
solely
that's
in the
I
Corey
think that's been
Davis.
canceled after this week. I think it's very clear that they
Look,
want Garrett Wilson to be their one. I mean,
Corey
you even
Davis
heard
was out though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
no, but you
he's
even
hurt.
heard what they said. You even heard that.
Oh yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
reason why, Elijah didn't get involved in the game plan because we wanted to give Garrett more of an opportunity to get more targets. So they want Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is their one. They want Garrett Wilson.
He's
to
the
be
alpha
their
there.
one.
Yeah.
He will be their one.
Yeah.
The coaching staff obviously loves him. Robert Saleh seems like a little bit of a curmudgeon, but despite that, he wants a rookie to be the centerpiece of the receiving offense. So that must mean he really likes him.
Did you hear the interview? They asked Elijah Moore like,
Oh, we all
about the
heard it.
chemistry with Wilson. He's like, I don't get the ball. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
all right.
I mean it's been a huge mismanagement.
So
of just the whole situation.
Let me run through a couple of things, and then we can move into this. So the Ravens say that Mark Andrews should be fine after suffering a shoulder injury, so I bet he plays this week.
Yeah,
Thank-
for sure.
But
Thank goodness.
Rashad Bateman will miss a few weeks with a
Oh,
foot
gosh.
injury. That
Right.
doesn't sound so good. I don't know about Rashad Bateman. I think he
Yeah.
sounds like he's starting to sound like big failure to me. I don't want that. I don't want failure. He
kind of sounds like bait, man.
He's infested with failure at this point. And I just
already
don't want
seen
players
him-
that are infested with failure.
I've already seen him on waivers in some redraft leagues,
Oh, well,
and
he is where he should be.
Well, that's the thing is 2-3 weeks ago, you see him on the waivers, you're like, ooh, maybe I'll take a shot. And now I'm like, I think I'm gonna drop him too.
He's just not. I feel bad for him because I think he's
talented, man.
You probably think he's more talented than I do. I think he's good, not great. But I always said that about him before he went to the Ravens, before the draft. I was always lower on Rashad Bateman. I always thought he was just okay. But this year, I mean, he's been terrible. Yeah. 15 receptions in 6 games played is just unacceptable.
I feel like guys who play Dynasty are the ones who kind of get excited by like guys like Rashad Bateman on redraft waivers. It's like he doesn't need to be rostered anywhere probably.
No.
He's gonna be out more so. It was like Lamar's not doing well. Obviously that should help, and who knows? It's like I'll take that speculative shot if I got someone at the end of my bench, whatever.
Sure,
but
100%.
Now it's like I don't care. It's like I've seen it. He can't stay healthy. And he's not He's not demanding targets.
Right here, I have a question for you.
That's the thing.
In Dynasty, would you rather have Elijah Moore or Rashad Bateman?
Bateman.
I still believe in Elijah Moore. It will be the death of me.
Dynasty Bateman for me easily. I just never been in on Elijah Moore.
I guess that's tough. Yeah.
I want to be honest.
Yeah,
I think if Elijah Moore is traded and is on any other team, no matter which, I'd rather have Elijah Moore. If Elijah Moore
traded,
if Elijah gets traded to the Ravens, that would be interesting.
And I'd rather have Elijah Moore.
Oh
Bateman versus Moore for the targets.
I think Moore's a better player.
Just like
I agree.
We wanted Rashad to get the targets this week.
We've seen more from Elijah Moore in that 6-game stretch where he was good than anything from Rashad.
Yeah, so one thing I will say is Elijah Moore did kind of gain my support in one sense because I was not really high on him like coming in because I really thought he had a very kind of narrowed role in what he can do. Like in the slot, he has to be there. And
he plays that.
But he played everywhere and he did pretty well, which it does bode well if he can get to a team that's going to utilize him in that kind of way, I think.
I do think though that
Bateman right now.
You know how bad it got? Minimal played ahead of him. Minimal had 2 receptions last
Denzel.
week. Yeah, minimal.
Another
another receiver that the Jets have still refused to trade after years.
Yeah, I have him in a Dynasty Best Ball League, and him and N'Keal Harry made it into my lineup.
Thank you.
I mean, it was against it's with some content creators in there, I think. Josh, aren't I facing you in one? I think I
Oh shit! Like we are in a best ball league together. I haven't looked at. Oh yeah, we are playing, and
I think I beat you.
You. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. I still got Nick Chubb to go. I still got Tyler Boyd to go.
That was N'Keal Harry's
Anthony Schwartz.
First touchdown since week 13, 2020.
Man, I can't wait for his resurgence.
There's no resurgence.
I will say he basically did take over as the number 2 in that offense. It's not like he's fantasy relevant, but he basically took over as the number 2, and it came.
Velus Jones didn't fumble enough times for you,
and this is the thing. Equanimeous St. Brown has actually looked good for that team, but the team was like, Harry is healthy. We want him to play over St. Brown.
It's okay. Velus Jones is actually older than N'Keal Harry, so they're making a youth movement.
He actually is, isn't he?
They're making a youth movement by going to N'Keal Harry.
Dude, Velus Jones, man.
Yeah, Velus Jones is May 97, and N'Keal Harry, I think, is December 97.
That is hilarious. I'm sorry, that's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, so AJ Brown for Jamar Chase. This is a simple question. In Dynasty, I still would rather have Jamar Chase. In redraft, I'll take the healthy AJ Brown. That's pretty easy.
Absolutely.
We did this already. OnlyFans.
Whoa.
What? Are we saying I should make an OnlyFans?
Is Toronto Dave trying to plug his OnlyFans?
I think he was responding to he thought when Ryan was
my
talking
sexy
about
costume.
No, I think
Or
Ryan
is he saying that Josh should start a construction-based OnlyFans?
Well, I already have an OnlyFans called Few Inch Fuster. Check me out. We have fun over there. We have lots of fun.
he can
You're
really
never
build
gonna.
a
I'm clipping
following.
that. You're never gonna live that down.
It's not the first time I said it.
Oh my god.
Holy moly.
16
50
team,
53 man?
53-man roster.
That's like 700 players. Like what?
I don't think I can help you in this. I don't think I'm going to come up with a name who's not on a roster.
Is this
Outside
real?
of what do you mean
This is
outside
not
of the
real.
top
This
100
is not real.
players? That's
53-man rosters?
Yeah, this is a troll. This is a troll
Yeah,
question.
this is a troll question.
It could be an 8-team league with 53-man rosters.
Where-
It's still ridiculous.
Where did you guys? So I ranked Tyler Boyd at wide receiver 24 this week. So I'm thinking he could have a good game.
He's very high for me.
I have Higgins. I have Higgins at 7.
Ooh.
I don't think it's that weird.
Where
Where was I supposed to rank him?
Where was Mixon this week for you?
Oh, good. Mixon at
'Cause
12, running
top
back
12.
12.
for me.
The Browns, they've led up a touchdown to the running back position every single week this year. Every single week.
They'll break the streak.
Hopefully
this week.
Samaji doesn't take it.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I just can't believe that. They're they're missing some not as key guys. Obviously, it's all about Chase missing, but they're missing, a couple guys on their end too, and
Aiden
that run
Hurst
defense is abysmal.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to get to the question. I'm gonna try to get through your questions. I'm gonna get through the questions. No, I'm not. That's okay. I love that there are 5 minds sharing their takes. I love that Tyler says we don't like failure. So what does this mean? That I'm the dumb one and everyone else is smart? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what
I don't know where he's going with that.
I think he's just
I don't
separating
either.
two different thoughts.
I mean, I'm definitely.
He just loves these two things, or she. He or she.
Yeah. I definitely
There's
will
infinite
say that
possibilities.
I'm probably more analytical and smarter than you would think by just watching this show. But yeah, no, I'm usually when it comes to my actual takes, if you sign up for my Patreon, I'm very boring. I very much don't do that trade, don't do anything reckless, just patience. Like very
Just
much
good
the
advice.
opposite. Yeah, very much the opposite of my show persona.
You might
But,
say.
at the end of the day, like these shows are long. Like if I were just dry and like read off a spreadsheet, nobody would watch. So
Listen,
like,
man, DeAndre Swift. Let me tell you.
DeAndre Swift. I don't like him because Jay Swag Daddy made a better snow angel than he did.
That honestly,
Have you ever seen the video of Jamal Williams making a snow angel? He just looked like he was having such a good time.
He
Adjust
always
your
looks
ranking.
like he's having the best
It's
time
true.
of his
He
life,
does.
and that's why we love him.
You know what's funny?
He's
I had
such
so
a
many
happy
topics.
guy.
I had so many topics I wanted to talk about in today's show, and we haven't gotten to a single one of them.
well, bring one up.
You guys keep talking about DeAndre Swift going from 5 to 7 for like.
The people want to hear about it. The people want to hear it.
It's like I think it's not that big of a deal that
He's at 5.
Oh, he's at 7.
No, this is what
No,
happens
that's
when
6.
Ryan's not here.
Tyler's about to drop him down to 10. Just how it's
Yeah, no, now I'm dropping him to 10.
yeah.
Done.
All
All right. Josh says, another Josh.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
14
what's up,
team
Josh?
Superflex was offered Kyler for 2 late 23 firsts and Malik running back. Stacked at Malik Willis. Stacked at skill positions, but only Davis Mills behind Lamar at quarterback.
I'm doing it.
2
You guys
late
could disagree,
firsts?
I'll do it.
I'll take Kyler easily.
Yeah.
Kyler easily. This is not close. 14 team Superflex. Kyler's worth double what he was. in
Yeah, I
regular.
love Kyler.
Yeah.
Late
I would
first?
probably
No.
take this.
Yeah,
The
this is
only
easy.
thing that I would say, just kind of in my thinking process, is it is 14 team.
That makes
and
it
that
Kyler
means
more easily.
Probably there's going to be a lot of like starting spots, is my guess. And if that's the case, those 2 late first could be additional
matter.
depth, but I would still go with Kyler.
Doesn't matter because the late first in a 14 team could be even later. I mean, they could be 13 and 14. It opens up the possibility of them being 13 and 14, which is even worse.
Yeah.
And a quarterback's worth like double.
Yeah, I mean, having Kyler and Lamar is a beautiful thing. I have that in a couple of Dynasty.
I got them in
Also,
one Superflex Dynasty League myself, Kyler.
I'm starting to come back in on Kyler because he looks better with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I guess
he's got his safety blanket. Yeah.
I mean,
all right. What is your record for your favorite or most important team? Who are your core players for that team? I'm gonna say that we're gonna get back to that later if we have time for that.
Oh, but I can't brag about my 8-1 Dynasty team with Bajan on it already.
No,
Come on.
unfortunately, Ryan, the Paris Campbell conversation happened while you were
It's
gone.
not Paris Campbell. It's Bajan Robinson.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, no, I'll go through it. That's better to ask me on Ask DLF when it's just me, Cal, and Addison. But there's 6 of us.
I know you want to say something about it.
No, I need 40 points from T. Higgins.
Zach Wilson sucks.
Okay. This?
I thought you meant this question. Sorry.
I had AJ Brown in Trade Addict. I'm still gonna lose by like 30. Damn,
big week. A lot of big games.
Yeah, AK came out.
Yeah, I think I was going against. I was going against Derrick Henry at least. Forget who else.
Or
that was not a good
Foreman.
I had
and
I had
DeAndre Hopkins. I was
Kamara
going against
and
DeAndre Hopkins.
Foreman and lost
And
because the other person had CMC.
My Scott
and
Fishbowl
Tyreek
team did
Hill.
well this week.
Oh
It
my
has AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, and Cooper Kupp, and Kittle had a big game, and Dak.
Yeah, dude,
So I
my
made a
Scott
trade
Fishbowl.
in a 14 team dynasty. I made trades for DJM and Evan Ingram, my personal
Love
fave, and also for Deonta Foreman. And all 3 of them had great weeks. I was like, oh,
Deonta Foreman to me has like gained a little bit of respect in that like I think he's going to be an asset for the rest of the year.
yeah. I
still
basically a
don't
third.
believe that he's going to be, obviously starter next year, but
Sure.
I don't mind
But
holding on to guys like
this is
that.
2 consecutive years that he's shown that he can step right in and like take as much of the workload you basically need him to handle.
Yeah,
And
he's an Achilles.
that's
To
hard
give
to
you
do.
an idea, to give you an idea, guys I have ahead of him are Alexander Mattison, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Warren. And those are players I feel like have proven that they can also step in, but just for a little bit. Devin says,
outro.
I would have given you an outro, Devin. Anyway,
Love
but
it,
yeah, I
Devin.
just want to. He said he needs to hop off. Pleasure to talk ball. Hoping to do again sometime. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you coming on. I would have given you an outro. Tell me next time. I like doing that.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, it's true.
You really are like saying some interesting things. So
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway,
That's
I've
what I
got
want,
Foreman.
Tyler. Like, I'm comfortable. That's a good sign.
Yes, I'm just wondering where this Josh has been for the last 2 years.
He's been around. You just haven't been paying attention.
He needed the other Josh to unlock him. That's what.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's exactly what it is.
That's true. But also, there's like no rules on this show, so you can say whatever you want on it.
Like Little Caesars.
rule is there are no.
You just need one.
Yeah. Who's concerned about Zach Wilson? Oh,
Everybody
Not
and
us.
their mothers.
Not us. Definitely their mother.
here we go.
Everyone
Did
and
we
their
see the
mothers.
Tyler Zach Wilson tweet?
Everyone who has a mom.
Yes, I made that was one of the things I wrote in, just kind of writing down some notes for the show.
I have
about some of the
497
matchups.
likes.
You're absolutely right though. Like Breece Hall was amazing and is amazing. He single-handedly looks like he's covering up just the putridness of that offense and that team overall.
If you click on that link,
And-
you'll get to the Tyler tweet.
They just don't look good. They don't. They lost. It
It's
looks
okay
like
if
they
brought
lost
James
everyone.
Robinson in.
Also, you know what's really frustrating is, of course, getting back to Elijah Moore, but like we know he's been phased out. It's like, why is there a report coming out saying that he's going to have a prominent role before this game? Like, come on, like that's like I didn't fall for it, and thankfully I didn't.
Also, I
need
have great
to,
news.
But like,
Cooper Kupp is day to day, so he's probably going to play.
Mhm.
They need him, so if he's healthy, he'll play. And if he's active, you're obviously going to play him.
Like the only one that can move the ball. Oh, Tyler.
Although I'm glad that I'm going to be
Monty Rivers.
guaranteed to get at least 20. Do I start Cooper Kupp questions this week?
Hey,
Yes.
Allen Robinson has looked okay the past couple weeks, huh?
Right. So he hasn't looked like the worst wide receiver in the league. He's just looked like one of the worst. So he's looked better.
Kenny
It's been an
Galladay.
improvement.
I mean, you put anyone next to Kenny Galladay, and you look
That's
amazing.
The problem is that I can't judge if Kenny Galladay is one of the worst wide receivers in the league because he
Because he's
actually has
not
to
playing.
play to be able to do that. But he hasn't. He hasn't done that. So he's been
What
unable
about
to do
the
that.
1 week Wandale hype, man? So many people were like, "Oh, start Wandale." Like, I think he was a good option, but I mean, people were expecting him to suddenly burst onto the scene like he's like Elijah Moore or something like that.
I don't know what happened to
too
Wandale.
soon. Too soon.
Just
Come on.
kidding.
He played the same snap count, Wandale,
Yeah.
that he did the week prior. I think he's a guy that you can have on your, redraft fantasy teams that you can feel like if you need a start this upcoming week, we got a ton of bye weeks. I bet Wandale is playing for a lot of teams, but Darius Slayton is he the best guy on the Giants? Who cares? I mean, it's a Giants.
Well, he's not playing this week because the Giants are on bye. So.
Oh yeah, they're one of the teams on bye.
After the bye, they go to
Never mind.
Houston. It's Houston after that.
I was surprised that the Giants
That's
just
not-
didn't look as good as they had.
Not great.
Like in the
They look pretty
couple
bad,
previous
yeah.
games. I was surprised by that.
So how
Yeah, that's what
concerned are we
happens when you
about
go up against Chino? You know.
how
Makes
concerned are we
sense.
about Zach Wilson? Scale of 1 to 10.
We're doing the same Trevor
11.
Lawrence scale.
Yeah,
12.
10.
Yeah, he's a guy that I could realistically see them. He's maybe
He's
not
horrible.
the Jets
He's
starter next
horrible.
year.
He's
Like, Trevor
absolutely
Lawrence, I don't
horrible.
see that being a possibility at all. So I'll
Over
say
under Flacco starting another game this year.
Actually, no. Mike White. They had made an
tougher.
announcement. They made an
True.
announcement after this week. They said that Mike White, if Zach, they made sure to emphasize this in like 5 different conversations. If Zach gets hurt, if Zach is unable to go, Mike White will come into the game.
Interesting.
You know, Zach Wilson is actually completing fewer % of his passes than he did last year.
Impressive. And they are 6-2. No,
They're
5-1.
4-1 in the games he's
Four.
played.
Yeah.
Somehow. But he's
I-
horrible. He is absolutely
I mean,
horrible.
I think the defense definitely has a big part to play in some of those wins too. I think the defense has
Brees Hall.
stepped up a lot, and then obviously, yeah,
To me, it's kind of like there's a group of quarterbacks in Dynasty. You know, there's the top guys, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Lamar, and then kind of the other top guys. I mean, Hurts, Burrow, Kyler, Dak, Deshaun Watson. Those are the higher end guys. And then Tua and Trevor are kind of in like the middle of that between the top guys and like the next group. And then after that, you have the other ones who are like Justin Fields, Lance, Cousins, Russ, Carr, Kenny Pickett, Stafford. But then Zach Wilson to me is in the next. There's like the next group below that. Him and Mac Jones, along with Mr. Retiree Aaron Rodgers, are kind of in the next group. It's like I don't know if this is going to work out.
I'm excited for Fields,
agree.
though. You mentioned Justin Fields. I mean,
Mhm.
he's looking better, and they're actually letting him use his legs. Which, he had 8 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, and he was pretty efficient with the throwing. I mean, I know we lost. I say we because I'm a Bears fan, but
I'm so sorry.
I'm hopeful for him to enter the other tiers, kind of that you're talking
I'll
about.
put him closer to Trevor Lawrence right now in my mind.
Yeah.
Personally, for the fantasy, Dynasty. I mean, for
I
just week to week fantasy.
I have
Like,
concerns.
Kenny Pickett- starter.
Kenny Pickett's with Wilson, isn't he? I mean, do you really have Kenny Pickett much higher than Zach Wilson?
Oh, Kenny Pickett's played much better than Zach Wilson as a rookie than
rookie,
Zach Wilson is
yeah.
playing now. Kenny Pickett, this is why I think you have to go beyond the box score. Zach Wilson has looked lost, horrible, has no clue what he's doing.
That sounds
Kenny-
like a show idea. Beyond the box score. That's really good. I like
But Kenny Pickett,
Screw live chat.
Kenny
Let's do-
Pickett has actually
call it
been
beyond
far
the
more
box score.
accurate, and he has had a lot of those interceptions have not been his fault.
They never
So-
are. No, I'm just kidding.
But I also think that Zach Wilson is receiving good coaching with a
Oh, yeah.
good offensive coordinator.
Matt
And
Canada,
he's still
yeah.
failing.
Yeah.
Whereas the Steelers have a horrible offensive coordinator.
Didn't you see that trick play Claypool threw it to Derek Watt?
I don't-
Like
I
that
don't
was very
care.
creative and cool, right?
Very creative. They had one creative play in an entire game. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No, I
really
mean,
gonna go a long way.
That's
I
everyone's
just
been
think that
asking
Zach
for that.
Wilson looks so bad. Like,
Yeah, I'll be honest.
also-
I haven't really seen his games.
Yeah,
don't
well,
really give a
you're not missing anything. Don't worry. But he's been so bad. Also, that's the other thing is in both cases we have a comparison. Mitchell Trubisky was playing, and then it was Kenny Pickett. The offense really looks the same. It doesn't.
I was about to say it looks a lot better or something. I was
No,
like,
it doesn't look a
about
lot better. It looks the
yeah, it
same.
looks the same. Looks the
rookie
same.
Kenny Pickett is about as good as Mitch Trubisky, a veteran. Now in the Jets, we don't have that scenario. The offense was a lot better. The passing offense was better with Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And now, well, yeah, it's
The-
not
Brees Hall just broke out. So
right.
it's
That's
not,
what
like,
I'm
fair.
saying. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
giving. I think some people were giving Zach Wilson credit that Brees Hall broke out in Week 4, whereas I
Yeah.
don't think that had anything to do with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson didn't make Brees Hall break out. The passing offense looked better with Joe Flacco, and Garrett Wilson said it, and a lot of people didn't want to
Like going
hear
into
it.
the season.
At the time, he
right?
said it. Yes, Joe
Yeah.
throws a more receiver-friendly ball than Zach, and no one wanted to hear it, but it's bad.
Well,
It's-
Zach just needs to find out where those receiver-friendly balls are so he can throw them too.
It would make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you
Um,
buy those? Just get those.
He's
in
just
the
in
game.
one
Come on,
Tom Brady.
man.
Yeah,
They're
I
a
mean,
little,
you know,
less
no
perfect.
He's
punter
throwing
really,
DB friendly balls right now.
It's actually funny that
That
you
was-
compared these two quarterbacks, though, because through last week, PFF ranked all 32 starting NFL quarterbacks by pressured passing grade. Kenny Pickett was 1, and Zach Wilson was last.
Zach
Can
Where'd he
Wilson,
get
under,
up?
first?
Zach Wilson, well, because he's always under pressure, and his raw numbers are actually not bad. So
True.
since he's always under pressure, then he's probably good under pressure.
Yeah,
But
no, it's
Zach Wilson
like-
under pressure coming into this week, I believe, was completing 18% of his passes under pressure.
Sounds like 5 for 31.
man.
Yeah, so not
Yeah.
good.
It's funny because, like, you know, you look at his even fantasy, like he had like over 16 points this week. Zach Wilson, he threw for over
I don't
350
care.
yards.
Like-
no, it's funny because he played horrible. Like if you watch the game,
This is
I
the
don't care-
Jameis Winston
he
phenomenon.
had-
Like
it's
it
like
doesn't
close
matter.
your eyes and just hope that he, you know, gets you some rushing yards or like whatever. But I'm not even talking about in terms of like starting him or fantasy. It's like he looking at the box score, you might say, okay, he's doing all right, or like
It's the
not
Jameis
horrible.
Winston phenomenon.
But when
on
you
him.
actually watch him, like it's that pick, he tried to throw the ball away. That was the funniest
Oh, yeah,
thing.
that
ever,
one was
honestly.
bad. I did
Tried to
see
throw
that
it out of
highlight.
bounds
What was he
and got
doing?
intercepted. Like you have to try to do that. Like so
It looked bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was dumb.
it was, and that wasn't even. That was one of 3 silly interceptions. So. Wow.
But
Yeah,
concern levels is 10.
9, by the way, to answer the original question like 10 minutes ago. 9 on my nervous scale for Zach Wilson.
Who do you have ranked higher in Dynasty, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones.
Zach.
Are you concerned that they
Zappi,
could
man.
go to Bailey Zappi at any time?
I still don't think it's
The
Bailey Zappi.
Zappy hour.
I really don't. I think it's Mac
Bailey
Jones'
Zappi
job.
is not good, but the offense has still moved better in the time Bailey Zappi was in than it ever has. with Mac Jones
He's
this
more
year.
willing to just chuck it.
Yeah. I think Mac Jones is the Patriots quarterback of the future.
But the problem is that since this is the same thing about perception, and perception is a lot of what matters. Since there's a concern now, Mac Jones is never going to get the value back that he once had. He never will, because there's a concern. As long as
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi is
Give it
there,
back to people's
I
heads.
really do feel that at any time, for any reason, if Mac Jones is playing badly, you can just go, whoop, and Bailey Zappi can go in. So I'm
But you
never
think
going.
Mac Jones is better than Zach Wilson, right? It's hard for you to answer.
Yes,
So
he's more accurate for
Yeah.
fantasy. I'm not
Maybe not.
sure.
That's the
he's
thing.
maybe
For
not.
fantasy, I think
Yeah.
When
Wilson might
Zach
even
Wilson
have-
had Brees Hall and could throw to Brees Hall, I think Zach Wilson was better. For
I
fantasy.
think everyone agrees
And
that
there's
Wilson
mobility.
has the much better weapons. So
Not anymore.
Well, with Brees out, yeah.
I mean,
Still say
considering
he has
neither of
better
them can really
weapons.
throw it very far.
I
Now
mean,
Ramondre
Ramondre-
Stevenson is
Ramondre,
the best
I mean,
receiving
he's
back of
doing
all
that's
the
a good
team.
point. Ramondre's good.
So
but
I'm not sure that that's. I mean, yeah, if they're not going to use Elijah Moore and Ramondre Stevenson is going to remain an integral weapon in the receiving game, I'm not sure that the Jets have better weapons now.
yeah.
Brees
I think
Hall
they have
was
more
the reason
talented
did.
weapons.
Well,
I'll just
it
put
doesn't
that
matter
way.
if you don't use
Whether
them.
they use them correctly.
But I would say that when Breece Hall was in, Zach Wilson was the better fantasy quarterback by far. Now I think it's close, but I still would lean Zach Wilson just because I'm not afraid that Zach Wilson is going to be benched in the middle of a game. Whereas I'm going to be concerned for the rest of the year.
Mike White thing. You brought up the Mike White thing.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen in the middle of a game.
Yeah,
Whereas I think only Bill Belichick would do that. Like even the Colts didn't bench Matt Ryan in the middle of a game. They didn't just in the middle decide that they were going to go to Sam Ellinger. It's rare. It's usually only first round quarterbacks will go in the middle of a game, like Kenny Pickett did, but just a random quarterback change in the middle of the game is unusual.
I don't think it was completely random. Mac Jones was coming off the injury. I'm just saying it's not completely random. There's a reason you could calculate for doing it, I think.
Yeah, but
the injury
what if
flared
he
up.
throws 2 interceptions next week and then it's Bailey Zappi comes in the middle?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree with everything you're pretty much saying. I just would say we'll see.
Put it this way. I think it's more likely that Mac Jones starts week 1, 2023 than it is Zach Wilson.
I agree.
But I don't want either of them in Dynasty, really.
Yeah.
I remember when Mac Jones was the safe first rounder to start every year.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how the times have changed.
Yeah, all right. We're gonna go through the questions a little faster. I traded Olave for Pitts after week 3 this week. I dropped Pitts for Higbee, and I'm feeling pretty dumb. What do you think of Higbee rest of the season? All right, so there's a lot of parts to this. Let's just
It's definitely redraft.
Yeah, let's address the Higbee situation. I think is for redraft is the most important. He's basically been the last 2 weeks, he's been kind of phased out of the offense, and his snap count has gone down. He's no longer an every down player. They've started going to 10 personnel this week. There were points where they had 4 wide receivers on the field because the tight end snaps don't add up to 100%. So at some point, they went to 10.
Oh, Josh, your team just made a defensive trade.
The Roquan Smith just went to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Big.
No.
Sorry, Josh.
No, Josh, you gotta he wanted out. Like,
Oh, but
I don't know what they got for him.
this is very
Ravens.
interesting. This is very interesting that the Rams.
Wait, what?
My team to your team, Josh.
You did to the Ravens?
Yeah.
The Josh is making a trade on the live stream.
Oh,
Dude,
that's awesome.
Roquan is like
Yes.
the center of our defense, man. I don't understand. I mean, I know we got Nick Morrow. So if you do IDP, Nick Morrow has been a pretty good pickup. They really wanted to give him the control. But Roquan is that guy, man. Oh, wow.
He's awesome.
This is scary to me. It's the one reason that I'm not entirely convinced about Justin Fields is this front office and coach didn't draft him. And if they continue to lose, then there is a possibility. He still has not been great as a passer. He's been good for fantasy, but he hasn't been as good for real life as he's been for fantasy. And I have a concern that if they go 3-14 or 4-13, he is in danger of he hasn't done enough to solidify that he should definitely be the starter. I mean, people were calling for Jalen Hurts to be replaced, but people forget that Jalen Hurts made the playoffs in his second year as a starter. That's who they were calling. And people were calling for Tua to be replaced, but they forget that he had a winning record as a starter in his 2 years.
Tyler, I'm just trying to process right now, right, man? We just lost our best defenseman. I mean,
yeah, but I'm fat. I process things quickly like that, so I'm just like I'm always moving on to fantasy.
You don't have the same emotional attachment to this.
No, I don't. I'm pretty emotionless when it comes to a lot
the
of this
Roquan
stuff.
Smith trade confirmed, by the way.
Really?
Did you guys get fake accounted?
No, Ari tweeted.
No, I see it right now.
Jay
Yeah,
Glazer, Ari.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Ari did.
It's just not making the Googles yet, I guess.
But you know what it is? Like, Roquan is going to be so good on that Ravens defense. I mean, anywhere, but that's going to be amazing.
All right.
You guys have such an awesome young, a bunch of young pieces, right? Like Kyle Hamilton is starting to get more involved too.
He's like iffy throughout the season, but he's getting better.
Yeah.
Ojabo, he's also getting activated this
I know.
Week.
I love Ojabo.
All right. I'm
let's bring
retaking
it back.
control.
Take control,
Yeah,
Tyler.
sorry.
I'm giddy over here.
All right. What do you think of Higbee rest of the season? I'm slightly concerned. The role has been going down. the snap share has been going down. Not that another tight end's been getting involved, but as I said, they were going to the 10 personnel.
Probably something to do with Van Jefferson getting back.
Oh, absolutely.
Not that he got targets, but
he played over half
whatever.
a game, so he was out there. But yeah, it's something to be concerned about. It Higbee for me. This week I had him ranked at tight end 5. I don't think I'm going to have him in the top 8 next week. I'm going to have him as a low end tight end 1 next week.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect spot.
And I'd rather have Pitts.
He's a low end tight end 1. Yeah.
Where'd the Miami run game go against Detroit? I actually looked this up. The run game had 26 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. The only reason why we're complaining is that the touchdown went to the fullback. It's the only reason we're complaining. The run game went nowhere. They still ran just plenty. Tua had a huge game as a passer. They were playing from behind, but even though they were playing from behind at times, they still were 26 carries.
Yeah. It was an expectation, I think, because Detroit had been so bad against.
Raheem had 14 carries,
he was efficient.
64 yards.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he scores a touchdown. You're looking at double digits, and no one's.
You know what's funny though? I mean, I don't think it's funny, but Chase Edmonds, how much he's just not even on the radar is kind of funny to me because.
Well, I warned people.
People got on my case pretty harshly when I said Chase Edmonds has always been a complimentary role player. He can be very efficient, but he's not a guy that you can depend on. And there's still
it wasn't me getting on your case. I hate Chase Edmonds.
This is I've always hated Chase Edmonds. I think the fit and the that role there made sense, but he dropped and fumbled his way out of that role.
Yeah.
He had at least some part of a role opening the year to the point where we were he might be the lead back, go pick him up, whatever, not Mostert. And then all of a sudden, now we're a few weeks out, he is completely out of it. And it's literally some of those middle weeks, he had some very egregious drops.
Yeah, I still think
all right, I don't want him out there.
Good enough to be in the complimentary role, but I'm just surprised he's so out. But Raheem Mostert isn't too bad at catching the ball either. Just obviously he's not a high volume guy there.
Yeah,
it's weird. I feel like this is the most receiving he's gotten in his career.
Well, yeah, when you're in San Francisco, right?
1 running back target and 1 full back target on the day. So
yeah.
All right. Not Toronto Dave's not too concerned. This 12-team Superflex PPR Dynasty, but I like tight end premium. Oh yeah, maybe it was a Tej Seth chart. I'm not 100% sure. I Burrow a tier behind Herbert, so do I. Oh yes, the Eagles are so good. But we're done talking about the Eagles.
And your Phillies, man. Philadelphia looking good.
Oh yeah, I'm having a great time.
Okay, this is actually a half decent question. What's the biggest lineup mistake you made this week? I don't know lineup mistake, but in terms of rankings,
Derek Carr.
But I had Derek Carr. I feel like I had him at 12. I don't think I was gonna have him lower. In retrospect, I feel like I had Deonta Foreman at running back 21. I'm not sure how much higher I would have had him. I'm trying to think what could I have foreseen that is really looks stupid.
I think mine's Christian Kirk, honestly. No one goes and plays the Broncos and does actually that well. And I think I was just I don't know. He opened the year off in such a hot start, and then for weeks and weeks has been bad. But if you look at some of the matchups, and specifically against how those teams are matched up against wide receivers, they're actually really tough matchups. So I'm hoping this was the end, and hopefully he gets closer to the first 3 weeks of the season where we were all right, he's a wide receiver 1. The team got T-Law an actual 1. That's it. It's looking good, and then all of a sudden now. 4 or 5 weeks of very mediocre.
I also think I have to accept that Jamal Williams should just be ranked higher. I had him at 36, and I think I just have to accept that that's too low. As weird as it feels to rank a backup higher than that, I feel like
he's getting every goal line touch and 40%.
Some of the mistakes also that I made were guys that I had ranked high, but so high that you would have started them anyway, even though I had them too low. I only had AJ Brown at wide receiver 11, but that probably didn't matter. I had Tony Pollard at running back 11. That's not right.
Weird,
but
though,
that probably didn't cost anyone.
I don't think that I make mistakes. So here's this is what I mean. This is what I mean, though.
We're gonna clip that one. I don't think I make mistakes. That's a good one.
No, but hear me out. It's kind of like at that point of making a decision, you do factor in all these different things and aspects, defense and whatnot, and you put forth the best for that
Use
moment
hindsight.
or that point of making the
Okay.
decision. You can't
I-
look at what happens after and
So-
say that
no,
was
no,
a
no,
mistake.
I
I feel like
agree with
that's
you.
basically the process was right, but it was wrong.
I feel like
know, the
90% of the
process.
time I agree with you. But there is 10% of the time where I was like, no, this
Outright
process
wrong.
sucked. Most of the time when people ask me, and this is why I don't do too much of the like receipts or accountability stuff, it's because most of the time my answer is it was wrong, it didn't work out, but I haven't learned anything. I would do the same thing over.
Exactly.
There
Like,
are
you're not going to
times-
bench Derek Carr for like
No,
Jacoby
of course
Brissett
not.
or something. You know what I
But
mean?
like there are times, the Jamal Williams rank is one of them,
Yeah.
when I do feel like maybe there is something to learn here.
Yeah.
Like maybe I should have. That's one where I'm like, that one I think I could have done a little better. Like I don't think I thought that through quite right. So there
Yeah.
are some times where
Yeah.
it does come up. But 90 to 95% of the time, I haven't learned anything. I would do the same thing again.
Yeah.
Like I'm
You
looking
can
through
turn
my
it
ranks
into-
and I had to
yeah.
struggle to find something where I'm like, oh, I really wish I could have that one back. There aren't that many.
Yeah, and rankings is a little bit different bit of a game than fantasy lineups too. I mean,
A
because
little.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some finagling there. I think.
I started
Yeah, I do-
Gabe Davis over Deontay Foreman in the league.
Well,
I
told a lot
did
of people to do
literally
that, but
exactly
I think
that.
I would do that.
Really?
I think
I did exactly that, and it might come
But
down.
that's
to
not in that
lose
category.
I
me
I
even
think-
remember like thinking about it. I'm like, Chuba Hubbard's out. I don't know. It's a little bit safer probably.
I
with
also
Foreman.
had a lot of really good calls this week, at least in comparison to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's floor versus
Like,
ceiling
I
play. kind of, but-
evaded Malik Willis a
I
lot
didn't
of the
need ceiling
time,
in that league,
which was a
really.
good call.
It's probably
Did
accurate.
not play him. I kept people
I almost
away
fell
from
for that trap.
Malik Willis. I told a lot of people to play DK Metcalf over like really bad options
That's
when
a
they were
great
scared,
call.
and that worked. So a
wish-
lot of the
I wish
calls
I
I
had
had
that.
this week where I was kind
I
of
was
on the
definitely
fence.
trying to avoid.
I told someone
DK
to play
myself.
Boyd over DK because I wasn't sure about the injury, but
Well, I would have told them to play Boyd.
yeah,
I
there's
agree.
enough
Boyd was
of a
higher.
talent and situation there where I
That's
think
not the
it's
kind of
safer.
question I was being asked. I was
Yeah.
being asked like DK
George
or
Pickens.
Robert Woods. No,
Yeah.
I had George Pickens. George Pickens,
You
I
would
had
be
really,
Pickens?
George Pickens was my biggest miss of the week. I had him.
Okay,
high.
look, there we go. There we go.
But that's not one where I would redo it.
Oh, I want to rant on that.
That's
so bad.
one
How
where
does
I
Steven
would-
Sims get the same amount of targets as George
That's
Pickens?
one where I would do the same thing again.
Steven Sims in his 0
I'm
air
not
yards
a
on 3 targets.
What would you add to Tua to get to Herbert or Burrow, or stick with Tua? I'm not sure that. I think I'm not gonna pay what it costs. So because I think you have to add if you could add a first and get to Herbert, I'd do it. I don't think I'm gonna pay what it costs to get from Tua to Burrow because I think that's still a first, and I'm not gonna do it.
Yo, just keep Tua, man. Ride that out. Like,
Yeah, I think that this is an opportunity to buy low on Justin Herbert because I think Justin Herbert is elite, like a very elite. And this is an opportunity where he's available. Elite quarterbacks in Superflex don't become available. So he's available now. You can trade for him now. So if you can buy Justin Herbert, I would consider it. Joe Burrow, though, is not elite in the same way. So I'm not going to. I think the perceived value difference between Tua and Burrow is bigger than it really is. So
He's
I
not a
never-
buy
I would
low
agree
right
with
now
that.
either. Whereas
No,
Herbert
Joe
has
Burrow
been
is not a
kind
buy
of-
low or
no.
anything.
yeah.
So,
Herbert
like-
has kind of had a little problem.
Herbert
hasn't
to
been-
me is you're buying an elite quarterback asset who's in a depressed value state right now. So that's something I'm absolutely all in on.
I
like
just
that.
missed out on him in a league, and I was so sad.
I think
Someone
there's
else
like
got
a
him.
universe where you can, I would still pay Tua in a first to get to Herbert, but I think there's a universe where you can pay less. Like you could do like Tua in some leagues, not maybe depends on the league, but I think there are leagues where you could do something like Tua and a Superflex, Tua and Josh Jacobs for Herbert. Like I think,
Mm,
and I'd rather do
that's
that
interesting.
over Tua and a 23 first.
Oh yeah.
If those are my options. Okay. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. He's maximizing his weapons he's the best version of that. That we've seen at the moment.
Tyreek is he's on pace for over 2,000 yards right now.
Yeah, he has the best wide receiver duo in the league. The Bengals might have slightly better overall wide receivers because Boyd is a better third option than anything the Dolphins have, but the Dolphins have the best 1-2 punch by a lot.
I love Waddle still producing. Like, he's been awesome. He's been so good.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some of the games they really go off, and there's not really like a game where one of them really goes off and one of them I think there's been one game basically where one of them truly goes off and one of them actually has like a dud. Otherwise they're both going crazy, or one of them's going crazy, one of them's still giving you a respectable playable game. And that's freaking awesome. Like we love having 60% of all the targets go just straight to those two guys.
And even Gesicki gets a little bit of that too.
Although I think he's a sell right now after this week. He wasn't really involved. He caught the touchdown.
Yeah. Well, he was a sell after last week. Man, last week he had a monster game, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like we thought that, the role, he was getting a little bit more involved, just playing more the last few weeks. We thought, okay, I know Durham Smythe is out, but maybe that's how they're going. And no, it's like Smythe is back. They played exactly the same amount of snaps. Like his role isn't really, growing. It's not like it was last year. And they just don't, he doesn't have the targets. Like it's just leftovers. It's once we get Waddle and Hill 10 plus, it's like, all right, we got a couple scraps for you. And if you fall in the end zone, might be fine at tight end, but otherwise it's tough to get him in your lineup, really.
What are Von tending assets? Contending, but I just thought that was funny. There are 0 leagues where you could flip Brees right now for Walker or ETN 1-for-1. That is not true.
I disagree.
Yeah,
there are some leagues
people will do that.
Yeah,
we talking Dynasty?
Yeah, it has.
It's got to be. I mean, no one's gonna flip for a player that's out for the season.
Or I mean, yeah, that's obviously true. But like, what are you saying? It would be hard to flip Brees for Walker or ETN?
Yeah, they're saying there's no one who will trade for
Walker
Brees Hall and give you Walker.
Yeah, because
I don't think
that's clearly not true, because we still have. If that were the case, we wouldn't have Brees Hall still ranked as the RB2 and higher than these other guys that are still playing.
Yeah, some people will be willing, but you might have to add a little bit on top because he's not playing this year anymore, obviously because of the injury.
You just need to find the right person. It's got to be a person that's not contending, right?
I mean, so you guys right now, would you trade if you had Walker or ETN?
Nope.
Would you trade?
I'm taking the points, and I'm always in win now mode.
But what if you're not in win now mode?
Yeah,
that's
what if
possible? My team's gonna always.
Oh,
he never makes mistakes. It's like, how could he
never makes mistakes? Every team is
I'm
in
always
win
now
mode.
What can I say?
That makes sense, honestly.
That's too funny. I mean, this isn't for sure, but I feel like I might flip Walker, but not ETN.
Yeah, you're still on the pass catching, right? A little bit.
I just think I'm more comfortable, and it's just safer that ETN, Brees, those are guys going to be involved as a whole in that offense for years to come. Whereas Walker, we know they want to get him more involved, but they're not really showing us ever since he took over. It's not like they're giving him, even 2-3 targets a game. Really, it's like he gets his one pass
production even without that. I mean, not comparing him to Derrick Henry, obviously, but we have had fantasy producers, running backs that don't necessarily catch the ball that much, but can perform at a high rate, for years. And I think a lot of that goes to the system. The willingness of the Seahawks to still pound the ball is a huge asset, right, to Walker and his abilities. And if you watch him, man, I mean, he's a stud.
I think it's one of those things, though, where it's just with the state of the team, too, and just the sheer, like, what if he is like a Nick Chubb and he doesn't ever act, he literally gets one target a game, maybe, like,
Chubb,
and it's like,
I think people would be fine.
And I agree. But here's the thing, though. Every single year Chubb has played, he's at least two spots lower in PPR as opposed to standard.
Absolutely.
Like, it does make a difference. Like, he can be the number one back in standard, but not be in the top 5 somehow. Like, that's possible. And it's like, it's tough. And again, it's another one of those, like, the safer part. Whereas, Nick Chubb, if he doesn't score a touchdown or get 100 yards, you could be looking at, 20 for 77 and, not the worst thing ever, but it's not doing much for you. Whereas, we saw it even with a guy like Dameon Pierce, right? We just saw him save his entire fantasy score with a receiving touchdown at the end of the game, like something like that, like just
Surely you're
catches.
not comparing
like
Dameon
no,
Pierce though to Ken Walker.
no,
right?
it's just it's
Come on,
like,
man.
but I would like to see him get more involved. Like Pierce, it's like the team clearly loves him. He looks like at least this year he's going to be their offense essentially, and it's like I want to see him get involved a little bit more. I know it's early, but
yeah. I feel you on that. I mean, I generally tend to be like that too. It's one reason I wasn't like as high on Walker even in Dynasty for the draft season, you know, when people were drafting for Dynasty drafts. But man, seeing him run, you know, at the pro level and seeing the success and how good he is, like I don't question him as, you know, being a top 5 guy. And I don't know that I could move him and the rest of the production for like 8 more weeks and also the potential fantasy playoffs this season. Even if I'm upgrading a little bit with the catching and all that stuff, like I would definitely still need more back with Brees. I think I know that, and I don't think people will be willing to do that, right? So I would need, if I'm trading Walker right now and trying to get Brees back, I would need a little something extra capital somewhere, something like that, you know, to make.
And
up
that's where I agree. I don't think anyone's giving you Brees plus for either of those
exactly.
guys.
So that would be a hard sell.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the team, they like Travis Homer. Like, why? But they do. It's like he got, you know, it's like
He's a
4-1
pick,
third down.
You know?
It's crazy. And and even when he was out, it was DJ Dallas in the third down role. It's like they don't want him just doing everything, and it's like it's tough. But he does run. He looks awesome. Like every time he touches the ball, every time you watch him, he's like, you're like, oh my god, he's great. But yeah.
Should we? Hey Ryan, do you have a look at these? Some of these questions. Should we try to move on to another, like the next one?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Flip us through.
Really true. The 33 years, only 5 likes. Yeah, like the video, people. Come on.
It's pretty easy.
Facts.
There's like a thumbs up button right there. You just like kind of go over to it, you click it, and hey, it makes us all happy, you know? Like, why not?
Exactly. Yep.
Absolutely.
Do you think Higgins, Gabe Davis, or Higgins Montgomery package get me a top 10 to 15 wide receiver, or should I just keep riding with Higgins?
Oh, I think you could easily get that.
A top 10, 15 wide receiver.
Like Higgins is, I mean, especially you want to hold Higgins because he's going to be the biggest benefactor of that like injury. So
I'd trade Higgins and Gabe Davis or Montgomery for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But this is the thing.
I would do that.
Like you have to, like you said, he's already top 10 to 15. Like unless you're getting unless you're getting Cooper, like something like that, like it's not worth it. Likely, like it's like, are you gonna do this or go get like what Waddle? Like,
I think you would have to get one of the top 4. I'll throw Tyreek Hill in there.
I would do that. Diggs maybe,
but actually,
obviously,
you know what, Jamar Chase out though.
Yeah,
Higgins could be the guy.
Higgins, man.
Yeah.
Until it's Tyler Boyd tonight, we all get our dreams
although
crushed.
Although with Gabe Davis, like I'm still not big on Gabe Davis.
I'm out.
He had like 35 yards this past week.
The most targets he's had all season.
Should have been more.
But that's the thing though, is I'm actually surprised. I mean, he's getting decent targets weekly, which is actually a good sign. If I could package Gabe Davis or even straight, I think someone asked me if they should move Gabe Davis straight up for someone like Aaron Jones when he was like struggling the past couple weeks, and I was like, try that, and he got Aaron Jones in a redraft league straight up for Gabe Davis because Gabe Davis is coming off some big. It's like you want to make those kind of moves, and Gabe Davis is not someone that I'm trusting to be someone I can plug in every week for fantasy production. He's still so hit or miss for me. I know he's having a good season. I'm happy for people who are playing it and playing those getting that production, but he's just too volatile for me still. And I've seen a lot of arguments for, even if he doesn't get that many targets, the ones that he does get are quality targets because he can be like the first look, the one that it's drawn up for. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just too simple for all that, but I still think he's too mercurial for me. Yeah, I want more solid weekly dependence. Like I'd rather have Montgomery over Gabe.
Or Kupp or Jefferson or Diggs. I'm all good with.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm probably holding.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
He did get a lot called back by penalty last night. I was watching the game. It felt like that. He had like 3 or 4 catches called back by penalty. So
Gabe Davis has
He also
16 receptions.
contributed a boneheaded penalty himself.
He has 16 receptions this year. It's funny because with Gabe Davis, everyone was right at the same time, and everyone can claim a victory.
He's going to be a big play guy. He's going to have a lot of big games. Absolutely. He's not going to get enough targets or receptions. Absolutely. So,
Yeah. But we'll see what's really right at the end of it all, right? I mean, essentially,
we
the
won't.
full
I
body.
can
Everyone
still
will
see
claim-
Everyone will still be. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna fall
You
right
know-
in the middle.
You know how it is these days. No matter what happens, no matter what the result, both sides will claim victory. You know how it is.
That's true. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to hop off. I'm gonna go trick or treating in the rain in a little bit with my family. So,
Josh, you gonna leave me all alone with all these other non-Joshes?
hey man, you guys, you got Roquan Smith from the Bears. Man.
Oh, I forgot about it for a second. Let's go.
It's like you got the treat and I got the trick. It's like, dude,
No,
what in the
I don't even
world,
care
man?
what we gave
You
up
got
for
a
him. Like,
second
you
and
got-
a fifth.
You got draft picks for next year.
Second
Okay,
and a
second
fifth.
I would have loved to get one of the receivers, though they're not that great. Like, give us Proche or Prochet or
Crochet. You can have Crochet.
Crochet.
I'll
Yeah.
throw him on top.
something to help the offense. I don't know.
Tylen Wallace, you want him?
Also, I will say, like the video.
We yelled at everyone.
We did.
I'll yell at him again. I don't care.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, I just felt the scratch in my ears.
Yeah.
It went. I don't give a fuck.
Hey guys,
talking about this.
I'm gonna actually head out now. But
All right.
Tyler, as always, thanks for having me on. It's always good chatting with you.
Come back
Ryan,
on
Conan.
anytime. We love you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt about
See you
it.
guys.
See you, Josh.
Have fun.
And then there were 4.
All right.
My screen got so much wider once we did this.
I do
And I can
still
see
think
my
this,
bed.
this is
Nice.
really
Got my
the
stuff
answer.
over here.
All right.
You don't want to see
Let's
that.
move on.
Oh, that's back to our
Yeah.
J-Rob. Yeah.
We're not going back.
And
We always look here. We look forward. We don't look backward.
So
Can you tell that I'm
This-
running for office?
this question confuses me a little bit because how does
JT.
he know he's the 201,
I don't know.
but he doesn't know the other spot? Like, what shouldn't
That
you
is
know
kinda
the other
odd.
spots, right? If
It's
like,
JT
is
and
it
Debo.
one-
There are
Yeah.
certain like interesting things that leagues do, like giving like the 201 away. Like if you join a league new or something like that. Like I've seen stuff like that. Like he
Oh,
took
and then
over
everyone
for,
just, like-
orphan
That's
team.
weird.
turns behind.
But anyway,
I've seen that happen. Yeah. JT and Debo or two
mid
so
to
JT
late
and Debo.
23.
JT and Debo is where I'm gonna go, not having any other context for sure.
yeah, it's JT and Debo. Would you trade Scary Terry? Oh, good for Halloween. For Javonte Williams in a what?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think that's obvious.
Was my joke bad?
Oh, what? I didn't even hear your joke.
How scary, Terry? It's Halloween. It's scary.
See, it's just too easy.
Fuck
It's not even a
you.
joke. You're just
Fuck
you're
you.
just stating facts, bro. Like, Scary Terry, Halloween. Look at these.
I mean,
things.
I'm not the one who wore a terrible construction costume on a podcast.
It is
Whoa,
a
whoa,
great
whoa,
construction
whoa,
costume.
whoa,
Look,
whoa.
it's got
Guys.
blood on it. No, that's paint.
Conan and Ryan are so nice, and they're like, "What the fuck are these two
Everyone,
doing?"
calm down. All right,
Hey,
calm down.
hey,
This is a construction zone.
Yeah, hey,
hey, we're
you're out.
what are you turning into the
Tyler,
Sopranos
Tyler.
construction company? Is that what you're doing now? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Are you guys?
If I
wanna see
don't
mine then?
settle down, something. It's a nice podcast you have here. It'd be a shame if
Mhm,
something
mhm.
happened to it.
We made Conan
Now
run
what you're
away.
trying to tell me?
Uh-huh. You better watch out.
Stop. I mean, you said you're from Baltimore, right?
I'm from Baltimore.
Or around there?
Yeah, there. Yeah.
I
Baltimore
mean,
County.
okay, so wrong show. I should have said The Wire instead of The Sopranos. Okay, I was sorry.
The Wire would have struck a chord a little bit better.
So good though, The Wire.
Yeah.
So good. If
so
anyone hasn't watched it,
God,
it's my favorite show ever that I've ever watched.
it's up there for me. It's a top 10 show.
It does help to. This is nothing to do with football, but it does help to relate to it if you've actually been to Baltimore. I think it helps you enjoy it a little bit more.
It absolutely does. Like just living around here my whole life.
I went to college at
let's go!
Johns Hopkins. For anyone who doesn't know,
it took me a second. I looked at him and I was like, okay. Wait a second.
Oh, you look much improved. I like it.
Yeah, it looks a lot better all of a sudden.
The part where you can't see my face.
I didn't say that. You did.
Might be the most uncomfortable wrestling mask I've ever put on in my life, which is the only one I've ever put on.
Okay, I've never put on a wrestling mask, so I can't relate. But to answer this question, Javonte Williams. Yes, I think we all agree. Just tapped in off work. Yes, sorry that this has been. I think this has actually been one of our best shows, even though it's been a mess. If Foreman gets a touchdown in next game, what can we? I don't know if it's dependent on that. What can we sell him for? I'd take any second.
If you want to sell him now, I think.
Yeah, now's a good time. I listened to other people instead of my gut and started Carr over Fields. I think my gut would have given me Carr. Fields was playing in Dallas. Dallas is a good defense.
Oh, I started Fields over. I started him over a lot of different options this week. Personally, I didn't tell anyone. That's the thing. I wouldn't have.
Well, that's your fault.
But I mean, if they asked, I would.
Those are my favorite victory laps.
What good?
I didn't tell anyone, but I was doing
tell anyone about it.
No, but I had a super flex league, like redraft league, where it was the option between Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, and I was like, all right, 100% Justin. Like, not even gonna question that. But like, most people would not have really told me to do that. Like,
I had Fields at
that's
14. Quarterback 14 for the week, so higher than his consensus, which was 18 or 19. But
watching you actually give advice with it it's listen.
It's fine. People take advice from me.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Painted nails, snake shirt, and all. So
yeah,
I'm always gonna be the weird one.
I'll let that one slide.
Show.
Listen to your gut. I'm a huge gut guy when it comes down to my fantasy leagues. Like my advice, I always try to be more analytical based, actual facts that back it up. But for me in my fantasy leagues, 99% of the time I'm rolling with my gut. So
I definitely don't. I
have fun.
I don't have a separate gut from my analysis and gut are not separate. Like
they're separate for me.
But this is the thing, like my gut's not going to tell me to do something that's completely against my process.
I just trust myself so much.
No, I agree. I agree.
Like it's not going to be like, oh, everything says this, but it's like my
gut and my ranks are one and
my
the same.
gut, right? Like
put it that way.
Although it is kind of funny though. I think I don't know if you guys ever heard like the fantasy football podcast from The Ringer. They have a segment literally called the George Costanza. Like if it looks like it's all going to happen, like this thing's going to happen, it has to be the complete opposite then. And they have that's a segment every week. And it's actually kind of been hitting sometimes because this year's been ridiculous. It's like, the Bucks are going to come back. It's, 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh, they got to smack the Panthers. It's like, no, actually, wait, now.
This last week was very chalky.
Ridiculous.
A lot of the stars were like stars, like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey.
This is the first, but I feel like it's like the first week though. It's that's really happened where all
chalky.
The stars
a lot of really good players scored a lot of points, and there were almost no injuries.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Tyler failure alert. Should I say it one more time for the people? I will say that Conan's costume is big failure. Just because it's I don't like.
But which one's a bigger failure, mine or his?
Oh, his for sure, because I don't like the Patriots.
Oh, I like yours better, Cody. I don't know.
I don't like the Patriots. I'm opposed.
He's a Giants
I
fan.
didn't even notice the Patriots logo on there.
How could you not notice it? It's right in the middle. Dude. I'm opposed.
Dude, that's my
to the
answer.
Patriots.
That's
I don't
how
like
I didn't know.
I don't like the Patriots.
And that's fair.
But it's okay. The Giants beat them in the 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime, so I'm fine with that.
The Ravens always play the Patriots, really.
Well, I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for the Ravens because I went to college in Baltimore. I've been to the Ravens Stadium. I haven't been to the
Johnny Hopkins.
Yes. Oh my God, that's always the whole story. I smoked weed with Johnny Hopkins. People always say that.
And Sloan Kettering or something like that. He says that.
Yeah. Andrew Delacourt says Javonte Williams in late 23 second for T. Higgins easily.
Oh, second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the
Higgins
first.
easily. DJ Moore or Amari Cooper moving forward? Let's see. It's pretty easy. In Dynasty, I'll take DJ Moore. I'll take the years back. In redraft, I think with Deshaun Watson coming back, I'll lean Amari Cooper, but it's closer than it was. I just don't trust PJ Walker to actually deliver over an extended period.
I'm with Tyler completely. Everything
So
you just said.
I think this is a pretty easy question that we don't know.
But that throw was beautiful, man.
I'm at least like you know how obviously Deshaun had to like do this program, make sure everything was all set up before he could come back. Like, has anyone heard anything? Because
he's better than PJ Walker. Oh, you're saying just from a logistics standpoint more?
Because I'm saying like, what if he screws up in his
no,
class?
He's on course to come back. That's
okay. No, because I mean, you never know. Like, especially 2-3 weeks ago, there was another lawsuit that came out, and it's like, is he really even going to be back for week 11? But you know, all signs are still saying he'll be back in 3-4 weeks. So, yeah, I like the redraft Amari call probably.
I would say also that they came out and said that they can't punish him. You know, I disagree with this. They can't punish him for anything that happened before
like
they delivered this last punishment. So this last punishment covers everything up to the moment of the punishment. So
cool. So you would have to literally do something new. Essentially,
you would have to do something new. Yeah.
Not have new things.
Have new things. Yeah. Only Ryan.
Oh, yeah. So like Ryan, you got to make an OnlyFans apparently.
Yeah, Ryan, you have to make an OnlyFans.
I think that would do well.
I do too.
Gotta bet. I'm gonna lose a bet, and then I'll do it.
All right.
Don't know what bet.
All right. What do you want to bet? Wait.
I don't know. It's gonna be something stupid. We need T. Higgins to score 40 tonight.
I do.
I do too.
I need almost exactly
30. And he doesn't, Ryan.
Oh boy, we'll negotiate this off air.
All right.
Tyler. Oh, question for Tyler.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Tell us how you feel about the Terrace Marshall sighting this week. Best game of his career. I feel
he was in fact cited,
right?
Look, he's still in that range where I prefer to stash running backs, but I do, you know, he was a good prospect, so I do take him somewhat seriously. He shouldn't be on Dynasty.
Any chance he's on a waiver in a Dynasty league? That's what I was exactly going to say. It needs to be added.
But I'm not trading anything.
He was dropped earlier in this year. Like
he was dropped in a lot of leagues. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
after the Chenault trade, he was dropped in a lot of leagues.
And but remember when he was like the best wide receiver out of LSU? Like, remember when he was like better than Justin Jefferson? Like, God,
no, I don't remember that.
I mean, look,
he did have a lot of hype.
Yeah, some analysts ranked him ahead of Jamar Chase in the 2021 class. Some analysts did that. Remain nameless. Some analysts did that. Oh, no. I did not.
Okay, I was about to say.
Goodness.
Some people thought that was a good idea. No, I would never have that much contempt for myself. I love myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would be like, I made such a big mistake. I'd like, you know, do anything possible to like make
I wasn't like uber high on Justin Jefferson in that class, but he was a
first round pick. Oh, no. This is the Jamar Chase class.
Oh, yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, no, I ranked Jalen Reagor ahead of Justin Jefferson with a lot of people. So that's
CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman.
Hi.
Guilty.
Jalen Reagor.
Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
Guilty.
Hi, it's me. I thought his college quarterback was the problem. Turns out he's the problem.
I liked Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. Whoops.
I think a lot of people
but yes,
did.
Terrace Marshall, again, I just don't pay for these players, ever. If I add them on waivers, I add them, then I usually look to sell them. I might keep them, but I look to sell them. I take any third for Terrace Marshall. I just don't.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is, I think, a good buy if you can get real low.
He is bad. He is so
I just think once you get him with Deshaun Watson, it could be a little better. But he's out there every single play.
I know. I'm really hoping that they get David Bell more involved.
Yeah, they're completely different receivers. I know you know that, but I
do know.
I agree. I like David Bell too.
But I do like the last 2 games. David Bell has played more than half of the offensive snaps. But getting him more involved. But
I mean, with Njoku out too, who had
And
been
I did
such a
say
big part
that.
of the
I
game.
did say that
Mhm.
Njoku going out would open the door.
And we'll
for-
see.
Potentially for Bell.
We'll see tonight.
Well, let's see what
Definitely.
happens
See if he
tonight.
gets more. involved.
Higgins, Kenneth
Nuts.
Walker, Gabe Davis for I need
We
some
need context.
information here.
Superflex.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Let's.
Dynasty.
Wait, I mean, let's assume Superflex
But then it's
Dynasty?
What do you
Superflex Dynasty, it's Lamar
Dynasty?
still.
Yeah.
Even with all the players they sold.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because of
If it's one QB, it's the
besides
other side.
Lamar,
If Lamar.
it's T Higgins and Ken are the two,
Doesn't matter.
obviously the two mess.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Speaking of quarterbacks, it's a good time to buy on Lamar is on that list.
absolutely. But
Um,
all right, I gotta head out a little early today. Unfortunately, got my work schedules
bro.
all mixed up.
You look
but
great.
You wearing the
thank
mask
you,
to
thank
work?
you. I'm gonna wear it right.
Yeah,
to work.
wear it to
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
No, but as always, great talking football. See you guys next week.
All right, let's get back to the good fantasy conversations now.
Dude,
sorry. If you're still watching, I love him.
You are literally are like I always knew you were talented, but you're like a completely different guy than I thought I was in the
Me?
recording room. Yeah.
I'm pretty amazing. I don't know what to tell you.
Daniel Jones just got exposed for the horrible passer he is finally.
I
Better.
don't think any of us were like.
I don't think anyone thought Daniel Jones was a
Yeah.
good passer. Did they?
Yeah. I mean, he's just a really good. He's a really solid fantasy quarterback because of his
As
rushing.
he runs, yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, I do think it's interesting. The Giants are in a weird spot. They declined his 5th-year option. I think they want to move on from Daniel Jones, but I think we're in a point where they're
too
they
good.
have to like get up in the draft to do it because I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna like moving on from Daniel Jones to go to Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't solve anything. That doesn't solve anything.
I think that's a
I think
maybe
that's
downward move.
move. Yeah. So they're not going to move on for someone like that. So I think unless they can find like a quarterback, if they can get up in the draft somehow or find someone, I think what they're going to do is they're going to sign Daniel Jones to like a bridge quarterback deal because I don't think anyone's rushing to give him a bigger one. And then they'll try to draft a quarterback in the draft. But you've seen what happens when a team has a bridge quarterback and has been thinking about a quarterback in the draft. I mean, the Lions have passed on quarterbacks in the draft for the last 2 years. Even though they're not really looking to Jared Goff as their savior. So you could get another year of Daniel Jones as the unquestioned starter. But I think it's basically a lock that Daniel Jones is going to start somewhere week 1, 2023.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to start somewhere week 10, 2023. But
Better days ahead for Wandale.
I think so. I really think it would help him if they got a new quarterback. Brian Daboll is an excellent coach. And Wandale Robinson is the player that he wanted. So I think he's going to succeed.
I
But
agree.
a better quarterback would help. The Giants are in a lot of flux. I mean, Saquon Barkley is a free agent after the year also.
I haven't even really thought about that much.
A lot of, people aren't really talking about that, but he's
Yeah.
a free agent.
That's a good point.
I have assumed, I don't know. I mean, I assume he's not going to want a franchise tag. I assume he's going to want a contract, but
It's probably going to be tough for him to be back with the Giants. I mean, I'm sure that's the odds-on favorite for him to be back with the Giants, but I don't know.
yeah, I don't think Saquon Barkley has like any sort of attachment to the Giants, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. Just
that's
given
what- yeah.
being from New York, like it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna, if they don't use the franchise tag, I think he's gonna go to the highest bidder.
And it's probably a better
Not the Giants.
situation,
Yeah,
like
it's probably
wherever
not
he
the Giants.
goes. Yeah,
I agree with you.
So, what about the Bears? I'm gonna throw that one out there.
He's not going to the Bears.
Ooh, yeah, I don't think
Why
the Bears are
not?
good enough to sign someone like him. But
Because I think the Bears are years away from being.
I
a
know,
contender.
but
I don't think
feels
they're.
and
need
Khalil
someone.
Herbert looks awesome.
I don't think the
when he
Bears are.
works.
They
I
just
don't
have all
think
that
the
cap
Bears are
space.
dumping
That's true.
money on a running back. I know they have the cap space, but
It might be a Bears move though.
It would be a Bears move.
well, the new Bears are like getting rid of all their veterans. So.
Yeah, that's true.
know.
Roquan, let's go.
All right, here.
sorry.
Kittle for 23 first, and I think I could tank. I'll take the 23 first back then.
Yeah,
That format.
yeah,
Pickens,
yeah.
or Pickens or Wandale, who holds more value? In Dynasty, it's Pickens. Pickens
Wandale.
has a
I
receiver.
mean, the
that-
Pickens. I'm sorry, I did not mean to say Wandale. It's
Pickens-
so far Pickens.
Pickens has a ceiling that Wandale doesn't have. What is Wandale's ceiling? Like
a really, really good slot receiver, like Christian Kirk kind of deal, maybe. Like
what Christian Kirk is now.
Yeah.
Except years ago and getting some age with it.
Yeah.
Probably George Pickens' ceiling is to be an alpha wide receiver 1. So
Yes.
And I think he's a better player. He's been better this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
And Pickens would have been probably a first round pick if he didn't have like some off the field issues, like some personality concerns. I'm pretty confident.
Even in rest of season redraft, I'll still take Pickens.
It's close.
Yeah, it's
closer.
Honestly, in rest of season redraft, I don't think either one of these guys are guys you have to have on your team, but I want as high upside players.
Well, they're not guys who are going to be on redraft waivers. These are guys who are going to be rostered.
I could see something. No. I could see them Wandale with his bye coming up, definitely.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
he's not going to be under 50%.
Especially if the Giants don't add anyone via trade, which as of now they have still not done.
Look, I'm not telling you should do that. I'm just saying.
I do have some concerns if the Giants add someone who's actually half decent, that Wandale is just not going to be usable the rest of the year.
Like Brandon Cooks.
Jerry Jeudy.
Brandon Cooks is the best one they could add.
But I mean, they do play different positions. You know, Wandale.
That's not how
it's the Giants' offense. It's the Giants' offense.
That's not how it works. Target wise,
you're right.
Daniel Jones, thanks for the L. Should have played Fields. I don't think any fantasy analyst would have told you to do that. Like Daniel Jones had the far better matchup and has rushed more. I don't think any fantasy analyst would have told you that.
But going forward, Fields looks like he could be a legit starter every week, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had him at quarterback 14 despite a tough matchup. So I assume that I'll have him higher in a good matchup.
Probably, right?
The problem is that Justin Fields is still this week was better, but he's still not all. I would say in terms of, Trey Lance, we have to give an incomplete, but I would say in terms of concern, it's Zach Wilson first, then Mac Jones, then Fields, and then Lawrence the least concerned. I'm more concerned about Fields still than Lawrence because Lawrence is going to get forever to work this out.
Yeah.
Whereas Justin Fields is just, they are not stuck with him. They didn't draft him. They didn't want him and they didn't build around him. So
I think very much like Trevor Lawrence, Fields will definitely be the starter going into week 1 next year for the Bears, right? 100%.
I do not feel like that's 100%.
Who are they going to go with? Who are they going to go with?
They'll draft
if they keep losing. If they keep losing.
Who are they going to go with? It's Fields.
I don't know if they jump the
Fields in my
Lions.
mind is definitely the starter.
I don't know.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence is more likely because he's definitely going to be the starter. There's no doubt.
I think if they could draft Stroud or Young, they might, but I don't think they're going to be in that position to do that. And I don't think I would take my chances on Will Levis over Justin Fields. So
I really right now they're 3-5. Jacksonville's 2-6. They're even worse. But I do feel like the level of commitment that's made to a number is not the same. A number 1 overall pick and 11th pick are not the same commitment. Like number 1 overall pick gets 3 years guaranteed. 11th pick doesn't.
But this is Fields' first. This is essentially his rookie year. I know his rookie year. He actually got some play.
And it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. I guarantee you.
Trevor Lawrence's rookie
you that if the Bears had the number 1 pick and could have any quarterback they want, they would select him and send Fields packing. I guarantee you. The only reason is that might not happen is that they're not going to be able to do that because they've already won 3 games. Like who's going to be the number 1 quarterback? Stroud or Young?
I don't
Stroud,
know
right?
It's Stroud right now.
I feel like I'm leaning towards Stroud.
I lean towards Young.
Yeah, Young. But I feel like though, this latest mock draft has Stroud, Levis, and Bryce Young going all top 5. I do think that if they had the pick to get Stroud or Young, they would do it.
Yeah.
But that's not looking like that's going to happen right now. Like I said, it's kind of, there are teams where I think the Giants, if they had the pick to pick Stroud or Young, they would obviously do it. But they're 6-2.
How recent was that mock?
We know
draft
that's not going to happen.
That had Will Levis in the top 5. Wow, after
Football
that
Network.
abysmal showing against Kentucky, or
It's
not
from
Kentucky,
Pro Football
Tennessee.
Network, so it's yesterday. It's yesterday. So that's how they feel. So I don't know.
Wow.
But just looking at who's going to be at the top, Detroit right now is number 1 and Houston is number 2. Carolina's number 3. So those are the top 3 right now, and all 3 of those teams are in on
they want the
quarterback.
quarterback. Yeah.
So Chicago would have to lose pretty much every game to be in this conversation. I do
Did
think
they play
Fields,
Detroit yet? Did Chicago play Detroit yet?
I do think Fields is more likely than not to be the 2023 quarterback, but he really hasn't been good. Is Foreman a good flex rest of season, regardless if Chuba is back? So I think the conversation surrounding Deonta Foreman is that if Chuba is out, Deonta Foreman is a high-end RB2 board and an low-end RB1 in good matchups. If Chuba plays, then it's going to be more like what we saw the week before in terms of the work split, where he needed the touchdown to be all that great, and efficiency, which I don't think we can rely on those things. And the volume was lower. So I think he'll be more of a, low-end RB2 to flex, but still playable. So yes, Foreman is a playable asset rest of season, regardless if Chuba is back, but he's only a high-end asset if Chuba is out. Because they're going to give Chuba some touches. And they're not going to give anyone else touches.
I agree.
I mean, who else? Yeah,
I think other running backs did get touches last week.
Right, but it was 26 carries for Foreman and 8 for other running backs. I don't think we're going to, if Chuba is in, I think we're going to see a different split. I think it's going to be more like 20 to 15.
Yeah, I agree.
With the same number. So
I agree
changing
with
it a bit.
everything you said right there in regard to
Who do you guys prefer, Swift or Taylor?
like this season or
Taylor, no matter what.
Yeah, it's Taylor for me, no matter what.
Yeah.
The guaranteed carries for Taylor.
Yeah. I also think like the Taylor is an integral part of the Colts plan.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not frustrated with him or anything. He got hurt. They gave him 31 carries in the first game.
Oh yeah.
Smash the like button. Yeah, no, that would be great. I appreciate any likes and any support. 16 team tiered PPR with contracts. Looking into selling assets from a team not likely to make the playoffs. Offer Debo for Pitts. PPR is half for wide receiver, 1 for tight end. I'd rather have Pitts with the extra years on the contract, but just keep in mind, this is not my area of expertise. So, I could be wrong about that, but I would assume that's the right answer.
It seems like it. I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Roquan is off. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Why can't my Giants make a trade? How about that?
I don't think they're completely sold on themselves yet.
Well, they could be more sold if they traded for somebody.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Are you sold, Tyler? Can I ask you real fast?
On what?
The Giants being a playoff.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You're
but
not.
they're 6-2 now, so they're 6-2 now, so they should make a move because you're not 6-2 that often. That's what I think.
So you would have loved it they got Roquan, huh?
I mean, yes, but that's not really the part of the team that needs help.
Yeah, that is what the Ravens need help with.
Is a problem. Yeah. Is Rondale Moore a good flex option moving forward? No, I don't think you can trust him. He had a big week this week, but DeAndre Hopkins is the alpha of all alphas. DeAndre Hopkins is a mid wide receiver 1 rest of the year.
Rondale Moore is a viable flex option going forward.
Well, Hollywood is coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more than a month before Hollywood's back. Let's be honest, right?
That's true.
Rondale
Moore was good though, 7 for 92 and a touchdown.
It was one big play. He scored a touchdown when it was like a 40-yard play.
Still had 7 catches though.
Yeah. But like, obviously we know this. What is Rondale Moore? He's a guy that's going to get 6-7 catches and maybe 40 yards on the week, and that's all he does, which is fine. Which is a viable flex option going forward. I think it'll be in the 30s wide receiver wise, right? I would assume somewhere in there.
I had him at what happened this week? 38, and people told me I was too high. So
you were right.
Thoughts on Christian Kirk rest of the season? Does the ETN emergence help? No, it doesn't help.
No, that doesn't help.
Christian Kirk, I feel like is like a pseudo 1. He's the 1 right now, but he's not really a 1. He led the team in targets, but he didn't really produce.
He's above Rondale Moore. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Kirk, but yeah, he's just okay.
He's definitely a guy that I'd much rather have in a PPR league, obviously. I like the targets he's getting. I like the involvement in the offense. He's In PPR leagues, he's like in the 20s, mid 20s wide receiver wise, I think, going forward.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Any trade predictions? Well, let's keep it to fantasy relevant. Do you think any of these trades actually happen?
Brandon Cooks is going somewhere.
He's the trading guy.
I do think that's the most likely.
What about Kareem Hunt?
Oh, that's also true.
I think Kareem Hunt's the most likely.
I think Kareem Hunt wants out. I mean, I guess Brandon Cooks probably wants out too.
I just I'm looking at their situations, both Brandon Cooks and Kareem Hunt, and I'm like, are these teams like really trying to fight for anything right now? Are Brandon Cooks and Kareem Hunt really helping Cooks
and Kareem Hunt is I feel like Kareem Hunt wants out because he's an impending free agent and wants to play for a contract. Whereas Brandon Cooks, I feel like, has already made all the money he's going to make.
He's just a guy that's like, he just wants to find a team that likes him, that cares, you know?
Brandon Cooks is under contract for a while.
Yeah.
Or a couple more years, I think. So, and then he's going to be old. I don't think he's going to get another big contract. So I think Brandon Cooks is more content to just collect the checks. I don't think he's demanding a trade.
I don't know Brandon Cooks, Hunt. But maybe he wants to go to a team that's actually going to win because you know he's just not there right now. Maybe that's
get a fair shot.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. Yeah.
But he signed this extension with the Texans this year knowing he wasn't going to win. So,
yeah, but the Texans offered him a contract extension. So, yeah. I don't know.
He could have demanded a trade at the beginning of the season to someone else who would have offered him, and he didn't.
He doesn't have to demand a trade. Teams just want to trade Brandon Cooks.
I know. Yeah? But yeah, I think Kareem Hunt is probably the most likely. And Brandon Cooks is a close second because those are older players. The other guys we're hearing about are Jerry Jeudy. I think after the Broncos, I think the Broncos had lost. That would have been more likely, but the Broncos won. So I think that they're going to keep Jerry Jeudy.
Get Kareem Hunt on the
Rams.
Yeah.
Cam Akers. Oh, here.
I was trying to think of a team. I was like, as I was talking.
Cam Akers.
Akers for Hunt. Akers plus for Hunt.
But see, they're already starting to talk about if we don't move Cam Akers, he's going to return to the team and play. Which I think he will.
Well, I think they also have to say that, they can't be like, we are completely out on this guy. We don't even want him. Please take him off our team, So, yeah. But I agree. He probably will.
It's not good for the trade value to do that to a player.
No, it's like
but I do believe them. I do believe them. I do believe that he will come back and play. But Henderson's been awful. Ronnie Rivers became the starter.
Henderson was was he sick heading into the week?
Yeah, but Henderson has always been awful. So why is this a surprise?
It's a surprise because who the heck is Ronnie?
He's an undrafted free agent. Malcolm Brown had more carries than Darrell Henderson in 2022. But we haven't talked really about Akers, but there's not much to talk about it. He's either going to get traded or he's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Trade Aaron Jones for Devontae straight up? Yes. Yes. Even though Devontae had a bad game this week, I'll still rather have Devontae easily.
In any context.
In any context, yeah.
You got to get out of that Packers offense. It's ugly.
Aaron Jones is the one player you can play.
Oh, yeah. I have Aaron Jones. He's the starter in my lineup.
He has to be.
He
spent that draft capital on him, and
yeah. But he's been fine.
The Packers were down in this entire game, and they still ran more than they passed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers looks finished.
So that happens when you lose
other than that one
receiver.
Throw again to Samori Toure, he looked horrible all game.
That was sick.
That throw the dabs.
That play was sick. It looked like classic Aaron Rodgers. They still got it in him, but this offense isn't the same. You're right.
Yeah, he it's definitely been a slow decline.
Romeo Doubs had a nice catch.
Yeah, that was nice. My biggest mistake was benching Pollard over Etienne and Cook. Yeah.
It's not like Etienne or Cook. Cook had a pretty good game, right? He had a fine game.
He scored.
Yeah. Both Etienne and Cook, They were good. They were really good. They were awesome.
Yeah, I've learned that ETN is never someone to bench this week.
Did we rant about Jerry Jones yet in his comments?
No.
No, we haven't.
About how Zeke is going to remain the starter no matter
we
what.
roll with Zeke, or we go with Zeke. What did you say? I don't remember.
Something like that.
If Zeke goes, we go.
Yeah, yeah. Where we go, Zeke goes. Yeah.
Something along those lines. But it
Tony
was.
Pollard, I'm not even gonna say it. Tony Pollard's obviously better.
Tony Pollard is obviously better than Zeke at this point.
Everyone's thinking it. Everyone knows it. Gary Jones doesn't, I guess.
Yeah.
That's Jerry Jones for you, out of touch.
He paid him a lot of money.
90 million reasons to start him.
The Wire is legendary.
Oh, dude, so legendary.
Yeah, no, it really is. I love weird. Huh. That is a cool.
It is a little weird.
No, I think he's talking about something else. That we were saying at that
okay.
time.
The Wire is a little weird, though.
It is a little weird. My gut
definitely a
said
different show.
Fields will do fine against Dallas, but analytics said Dallas is a good defense and that's bad for Fields. Carr was playing New Orleans and should have been points. Gut said YOLO Fields. Yeah.
That's the way it works sometimes. Here's the thing. When you go with your gut, when it comes down to it, you got no one to blame but yourself. And I'd rather blame myself than...
Well, I don't really pay attention to other people's rankings. So
yeah.
I only have me to blame. I've never seen it.
Love Seinfeld. You never seen it? I've
Wow.
seen pretty much every
You'd be
episode.
surprised.
It's one of my favorite sitcoms. It's my favorite sitcom. I don't watch that many sitcoms.
Yeah. ETN or own 2023 first and Pollard. This is
12 team.
All right. Middling
Good for
team.
bottom three, but not good enough for top three.
So mid then. So a mid 23 first and Pollard or Travis Etienne.
The problem is, like, when I know I'm in this situation, I want to go the other way. I want to go the way of I just would rather be a bad team. If adding ETN here doesn't make you a better team and you don't think you're going to win the championship with it, like, I don't think running back's the position to buy in a dynasty league when I don't think I can win a championship. Even a young running back like ETN, the value's there.
The value's with ETN.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't
feel
know
like
if
I'm
the
reading this
process
wrong.
is something I love.
I thought he was getting his own 2023 first back.
No, he's
That's how
giving
to word it.
See, like, if it was getting his own 2023 first back and you know you're, like, tanking more or less or just trading away assets for future assets.
But is it too late to go to the bottom to start the trek?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
It probably is.
1-win, 2-win teams out there. So
it's a super like if this is a top like 4 first round pick, then but we don't know that. The value is on the ATN side.
It definitely is, yeah.
Yeah.
PJ Walker is in that Heineke tier where they'll be good to great for a period of time and eventually become dust again, then rinse repeat when called upon to start again.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jameis Winston, maybe you can throw in that too. I understand. Actually, this is a different tier because these quarterbacks weren't drafted ever to be like good quarterbacks.
No, these two are comparable, Walker and Heineke.
Yeah.
I do think, though, do you think that another quarterback's going in for Carolina, or do you think they're going to stick with PJ Walker?
Right now, I just got to assume they're sticking with PJ Walker.
They're going to stick with PJ Walker for next week. Do you think there's any possibility they go to Sam Darnold?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Baker Mayfield's a possibility. I think Sam Darnold's a possibility.
Yeah,
I think PJ Walker. I think any of these quarterbacks could be the starting quarterback week 16 this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think
none of them are that good. That's the problem.
Their fantasy, it's funny because it's rare that I have a team where I have 4 quarterbacks ranked in my dynasty rankings, but this is a team where I do.
4? Yeah. Oh, Corral.
Corral,
I
yeah.
forgot about him for a second. I like Mike Corral coming into the draft, actually, for a fantasy, like if he could be the starter, because he runs a little bit.
Baker Mayfield, though, I basically dropped into oblivion. I have Baker Mayfield at quarterback 36 in Dynasty. I just think that we're done with Baker Mayfield. Like, I think we're done with Baker Mayfield And Baker Mayfield also is kind of in that weird. He has a weird personality to like be a backup, although he's accepting it now pretty well right now. So he's maybe doing a good audition for the rest of his career, which is a backup, which is what he's going to be. But I don't think any team is ever going to hand their franchise to Baker Mayfield again.
No.
Like I think we've done that for the last time. I think now he's going to go into journeyman mode.
Yeah.
And he's not even top of the list for me of bridge quarterbacks next year.
I'd rather
like
have Jimmy Dalton starting for my team for sure.
Yeah, like Jimmy Garoppolo. For me, like Daniel Jones as a free agent, Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff Daniel Jones and Jimmy Garoppolo are free agents also. And Jared Goff can be cut with no penalty. So
Jimmy Garoppolo only signed a 1-year deal?
Yes. With a no tag clause. So he's going to be a free agent.
I mean, I don't think you needed the no tag clause in there, Jimmy. But whatever.
Jimmy this week was like, whenever he's out, then he kind of pulls me back in. He's just like, he's just good enough to hang on to a starting job.
He's such an average quarterback.
He does what Baker Mayfield doesn't do. He does what Baker Mayfield doesn't do.
He throws an accurate ball. He gets it to his receivers.
Baker Mayfield loses.
He's a game manager. He's the epitome of a game manager, Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's really good at being a game manager, but he's not a really good quarterback.
I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo starts week 1, 2023 somewhere. There just aren't enough quarterbacks in the draft. There aren't 7. And there's more spots that need a quarterback than there are quarterbacks. So there's going to be some of these journeymen are going to start.
I'll lean on the opposite end of the 50%. I think it's less likely, but I don't know. I could definitely see it happening.
I think that the most likely place that he starts is Tampa.
Oh yeah. Like, I
remember
Jimmy. When
I don't
Tom
think anyone's
going
to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo to replace an incumbent, even if they're bad. But I think there are going to be places where Jimmy Garoppolo could go that are empty.
The Colts, like, they're not going to do it, but like, it would be such a Colts move to have Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, they might.
Yeah,
they might. I mean, if they're out of the range of getting a top quarterback, there's just not going to be. Every team is not going to be able to fill their void. And there are some teams like Washington, Indianapolis, Tampa, if Brady retires, that have nobody.
I thought Jimmy Garoppolo might go to Tampa when Tom Brady retired.
I also thought so.
Yeah. That made the most sense to me, at least.
But we'll see. Gardner Minshew's also in that group, by the way. We don't want to forget about him.
Sure.
I actually think he's kind of ahead of Baker Mayfield on the list. I think people are more interested. Like, don't you think people in the NFL are more interested in seeing? I think we've seen enough of Baker Mayfield. But I think there could be some people in the NFL who are more interested in seeing more from Gardner Minshew than they are Baker Mayfield.
Gardner Minshew is so much more exciting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that regard.
He's also on the list of quarterbacks who are competing for those few jobs.
Hell, I mean, like, Andy Dalton, like, he's not going to go into the league as a starter, like the year as a starter, but he's going to be a backup somewhere, probably where the quarterback isn't very reliable.
Andy Dalton's, like, in a different group, though. Andy Dalton's in...
I know, he's old.
In the group of, like, Teddy Bridgewater.
He's almost like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold now. Players who are just going to be backups and can take over if they have.
But Andy Dalton, last year he proved it. This year he proved it again. He's serviceable,
And so is Teddy Bridgewater.
I'd rather have Andy Dalton than Teddy Bridgewater. If I had to win one game.
I like Teddy Bridgewater. Sent a 24-second for Foreman before kickoff. I wouldn't have done that. I'd rather have the pick. But I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, he did it before.
Ooh, bold. Would you trade Dak for JT? In Superflex, I wouldn't. I'd keep Dak.
6-point touchdowns? No.
It doesn't change. It doesn't really change it for me, but I'd keep Dak.
Changes a little bit.
Yeah, I want those quarterbacks. I don't want running backs. I've actually dropped Jonathan Taylor in my overall rankings. My overall Dynasty rankings now start with 5 receivers. Jefferson, Chase, Lamb, Brown, and Waddle are my, among running backs and wide receivers, those are my top 5. And then Jonathan Taylor is 6.
Yeah. I'd rather have all those wide receivers over Jonathan Taylor.
I just feel like Jonathan Taylor is no longer in a tier by himself. And the only way a running back is that high is if they're a tier by themselves. But he's not. So he doesn't deserve to be that high. Like, there's just the value difference between Jonathan Taylor and Kenneth Walker is not that, and Travis Etienne is not that much.
Yeah. And Swift.
No. A guy in my league's team name is only Fance. That's funny.
I like it.
Nice.
Do I trade Jamal Williams and Chase Claypool for Deonta Foreman redraft? I think you have to. I'd rather have Foreman rest of season.
Yeah, me too.
Chase Claypool is just nothing. Like Chase
Unless
Claypool
he gets traded today or tomorrow.
If he gets traded, then he could be
True.
something. But if he doesn't, then he's nothing. Chase Claypool is borderline droppable.
And
Never
you
gonna be able to
definitely
start.
rather have Deontay Foreman over Jamal Williams. Even
then
though
I'd
Jamal
rather-
Williams had a great game, it's definitely the loss.
Deonta Foreman has upside without an injury.
Yeah.
That Jamal Williams doesn't have. Pick David Bell off waivers in a 12-team Superflex this week. Why was David Bell on waivers?
Tyler likes it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, assuming it's Dynasty, which is
Let Barkley walk and draft Bijan. Oh my God.
okay.
I'd love that
Okay.
if I'm the
That's
Giants and I could have Bijan.
Of
Yeah.
course.
mean,
I mean,
How
who doesn't want
high is
Bijan?
Bijan going to get drafted? Is he going to be like top 15 pick?
Also, the Giants might need to use their franchise tag on Daniel Jones. So they might not have it for Saquon Barkley. We'll
Might.
see what happens. The Giants are an interesting team to watch because they are really not committed to like almost anybody. The Bears about to draft JSN. They better draft somebody.
All the help they could get.
I mean, Darnell
They
Mooney
do.
can't do it all. I like what I'm seeing from Darnell Mooney finally, but he's not a for sure one.
I do think though there are some teams that some of the teams at the top are just so quarterback. Like I think that Houston and Carolina have to pick quarterbacks. It's like they don't have another choice. But they'll prove me wrong.
Come on,
and
dude.
sign-
Davis Mills, bro.
They'll prove
Davis
me wrong and sign Jimmy.
I was
Garoppolo.
such on the Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, bro.
Davis Mills has been abysmal,
Davis Mills was the most impressive quarterback last year.
and this year he's been
Just-
absolutely horrific.
A rookie quarterback, most impressive rookie quarterback.
This year he's
last
been
just
horrific.
because
I mean,
with the draft
Still better than
capital and
Zach Wilson.
expectations. But yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure that he's been
not
better
it.
than Zach Wilson this year.
I think he
Davis
has.
Mills has been there's been no volume. I
The,
mean,
the
Davis
balls,
Mills doesn't even throw.
not the ball, but the bars on the floor. Like,
This week was really bad.
The fact that we're having the comparison is probably not good news for Davis Mills.
No. Davis Mills is.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is still a good quarterback. Yeah, he was actually healthy this week, and then he looked good.
Yeah. No, Dak Prescott's always been a good quarterback.
I think Dak Prescott's always been an underrated quarterback.
especially when he's getting comped to Cooper Rush for those 3 or 4
I
weeks.
know people were
Dude, so many people were actually serious.
many.
Like Cooper Rush. No.
I will say Dak absolutely rushing touchdown got him in for fantasy, but the volume was kind of low considering they scored 49 points. He only had 250 passing yards. But yes, he executed a good offense. He completed over 75% of his passes. He had a great game.
Got some turnovers.
And I will say that Schultz and Gallup actually looked healthy in this one,
Yes, they did.
especially Schultz.
they
Schultz
did.
is playing for a contract. I do not
Schultz or Higbee, Tyler?
Schultz.
Rest of the season. I
Schultz,
agree.
because if he's healthy, he's better. And if he's healthy and Dak is
Better
healthy, he's
situation.
better.
Well, maybe not better.
He's a better player than Higbee now. Maybe not Higbee 3 years ago, but Higbee now. And he is a better quarterback, better situation. So if he's healthy and Dak's healthy, then it's Schultz. And that seems to be the case now. Gallup looked healthy, but I am worried that Gallup is just kind of a roster clogger in Dynasty. It's kind of like you don't ever really want to start him. You can't drop him. Nobody really wants to trade for him. It's kind of like he has this value, but you can't trade him for anywhere near that value. He's worth a lot less on the open market. He's a weird player.
I could see him like they have a bye upcoming, but I could see him having a big week in the coming weeks, and maybe that's an opportunity to sell him for what you can get.
Maybe, or they trade for a wide receiver by tomorrow. 'Cause that's how Jerry Jones works.
And then he has
God,
even
Then
less
he's done.
value.
that is
Yeah.
not a good destination for a wide receiver.
Nah, yeah, they want. I think they want to run it right.
Like Brandon Cooks is better off staying in Houston than he is going there.
Is this a different person that asked this?
Because
Because someone asked this before, but I think it was the other way around. It was the same
no,
way.
it's the same person.
It's the same person.
It's the
Yeah.
Items. What would you sell Bateman for in a dynasty? I mean, now at this point, you just hold and hang on, kind of like Traylon Burks with his own foot injury.
Do not sell Bateman now.
Just hold and hang on and hope. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
But I am even worried. Even now, I have Bateman too high. I mean, would you rather have Bateman or Ayuk?
Bateman.
Bateman or Judy?
Judy.
Yeah. I think Judy gets traded by tomorrow.
Bateman or DeAndre Hopkins?
Give me the points.
Contender DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Rebuild Bateman. Yeah.
Bateman or Wando
I'm
Robinson?
gonna take the opt out. Ooh. Bateman.
Yeah.
But if you go like even slightly higher in the rookie wide receivers, I'm going rookie wide
Traylon Burks?
I'll take Traylon Burks, I think, over Bateman.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Bateman should be valued like similarly to Jerry Jeudy, where he was way higher earlier in the season. But yeah, Bateman scares me. Right.
I mean, if you can get something good for I've been trying to turn Bateman into
I don't think you can. Nobody wants him now that he's hurt, and he has.
I've been trying to turn Bateman plus into Olave for like 2 weeks with this one guy, and
Oh.
he keeps telling me he's like, I like this, but I
like
can't
it, but I
accept
don't
one.
like it.
I know. I was like,
I got offered Gus Edwards and Freiermuth for Kelsey and Swift. What? Kelsey and Swift.
Gus Edwards and Freiermuth.
What?
Wait,
No.
What?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So he just wants to point this out, saying that his league's dumb sometimes.
Yeah. Hard to call starting ETN a mistake. It wasn't. I think
That
he was
one person I think said I started ETN and Devin Cook over
Pollard. I think he wanted to start Pollard over Cook. Pollard over Cook, I think, was what he wanted. Because ETN scored a lot. Cook, I think, was good, but not as good.
Cook scored 25 fantasy points.
Yeah, but Pollard scored 3 touchdowns.
No, but he said I started Pollard. I started ETN and Cook over Pollard. I made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And this person.
Yeah, but I think he's saying starting Cook
not
was
a
the
mistake.
mistake.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but like, yeah, it's not a mistake.
Okay, ETN scored 25.2 and Cook scored 25.1. Pollard scored 33.7. So
yeah, it's not a mistake.
Not a huge mistake.
Yeah.
How about Judy looking way better than Sutton? Finally, it's happening. Okay, I think for this, I downgraded Cortland Sutton without moving Jerry Judy up in my dynasty rankings, if that makes sense. Like, Cortland Sutton.
I kind of feel that, Tyler.
If we proceed past Tuesday and they both stay there, Cortland Sutton will move down even more. And Jerry Jeudy will stay where he is. But the gap is closing. Jerry Jeudy, I have around wide receiver like 36 or so, and I think that's about right.
Well, seeing Jerry Jeudy do it, like actually, do it, and Cortland Sutton not do it with Russell Wilson playing, like kind of just adds to that a little bit.
I just think Cortland Sutton is just too inconsistent. We know we're never going to be able to trust him. We know he's never going to be reliable for a whole season. He's already 27. He's not super young. And I'd rather have, I moved him down significantly. I have Terry McLaurin now above Cortland Sutton in Dynasty.
They're like the same age, right?
Almost exactly, yeah, within a couple of weeks.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'll lean Terry McLaurin. He's proved it over the course of his career, regardless of the situation.
Yeah, I think Terry McLaurin's a better wide receiver, and
I agree.
Russell Wilson is no longer the boon that he
He's
once
not cooking
was.
anymore.
Well, I mean, he's cooked.
He's cooking himself.
He's cooking himself.
I'm so funny.
Yeah.
Lazard and Pitts for Miles Sanders. Then at running back, 12-team PPR with buys for Saquon, Fournette on the horizon.
This is redraft.
This feels like such a redraft.
It's redraft,
Yeah.
so it's Miles Sanders.
Yeah, it's definitely Miles Sanders.
Unless
he's saying
unless Kareem Hunt goes to Philly.
He's saying he had.
You think that's a possibility, huh?
They've been calling about Kamara. They called about CMC. They lowballed for CMC, but they've been calling around. So I don't know.
That would kind of suck.
Yeah. If you're trading away ETN, I want more than a single middling first. I want a 23 first and something more than Pollard.
Oh, it is his own.
Well, if you're playing on,
Yeah, but
How about a 23 first and like, I don't know, like aim high, like a 23 first and Drake London. Something like
You
that.
could aim high. Or you could also, instead of like Pollard or a second, you could go Pollard and a second.
That would help at least. Yeah.
Definitely help.
All right. Well, Jimmy's definitely the Webster's dictionary definition of average, but I want him over Stafford. Right now, I would play Jimmy over Stafford. I still prefer Stafford in Dynasty. He's locked in on that contract. I mean, he's going to play for a few more years no matter what. So.
Yep.
But yeah. All right, let's see here. 12-team Superflex PPR, Ayuk for Pollard and Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'll take Pollard and Myers.
I'm in on Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
I'm not super. I'm in-ish on Jacoby Myers, but I just
stud.
I'd rather have the
situation
two
just
players.
so bad.
I don't think Ayuk is all that great, so I'll take the two players.
Hopefully, Pollard gets a starting job this offseason in free agency.
That's what I'd be banking on.
Yeah.
Pollard giving a string.
As a Philly fan, I was on team.
Yeah, so was I.
Funny.
Yeah. If I wanted the Cowboys to lose, definitely.
All right, I will say in the last game, J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson played 36% of snaps each, and Brian Robinson was down to 25%. So they may be moving away slightly from Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like a big move, but Brian Robinson lost a significant amount of value this week to me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because they saw what it looked like with him getting the lion's share of the work, and then they took it away. So I still prefer him over Gibson in Dynasty, but he lost some value. Any redraft, any running back similar to AJ Dillon that you'd rather have? Well, I mean, AJ Dillon is barely worth a roster spot. Want to pivot off of him? I don't even know how to answer this. AJ Dillon's barely relevant.
Like
AJ Dillon's one of those players. He's like a redraft roster clogger because you can't play him anymore. You can't drop him. No one wants to trade for him. But you have to hold him because if Aaron Jones gets hurt, AJ Dillon will be an RB1. If you get everything, and he will get everything if Aaron Jones got hurt, he'd be an RB1. So you can't drop him, you can't use him, you can't trade him.
Was that Packers draft class the worst of all time?
Might be.
It's up there.
What do you consider Mixon's value with Chase out? I don't think Chase going out really affects Mixon's value very much.
No, it doesn't.
So same as it was before. The Russ hate is a little bit overblown, but every single player who's ever interacted with him seems to hate him. So I think that the vibe that we're getting that we're not supposed to like him is accurate.
He's talking about the video that came out of him like doing the workout in the plane, right?
I know.
So like, yeah, that's overblown for sure. Like, whatever.
But overall, I'm fine with it. I don't really like him.
That Lockett quote.
Yeah, that Lockett quote was bad. It's nice that we have a team where it doesn't matter who gets the credit. I know he tried to explain it away as well. It's a
high school
vote. It takes a long time or whatever, but it seems a little odd, you know. Aaron Jones coming back top 5. No, not at all. The Packers offense has to be a little bit better. I will say though, the gap between Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon is rising. This week I had Aaron Jones at running back 17 and AJ Dillon at running back 32. I think that.
Would you rather have DeAndre Swift over Aaron Jones
in redraft?
Yeah, I would.
20 carries. Oh, I might rather have. It's very close,
and that's fine. If you want to go Aaron Jones,
I think I'll go Aaron Jones.
That's fine.
I'll go Aaron Jones barely. Yeah. I think I trust Aaron Jones's volume a little more. And neither one is on a high-powered offense, so I'll lean toward Aaron Jones.
I think DeAndre Swift, but
also the Packers have no choice.
The
Packers have no choice but to feature Aaron Jones. There is no one else. Christian Watson was lost with a concussion, so he could miss more time. Alan Lazard's shoulder injury seems to be an issue. Randall Cobb is still not healthy, and who knows who will be next. So, not good. 14 team, 1 QB start 9. Give Pittman and a 25 first. Get Higgins in 23 second. These kind of trades are just so risky that I don't.
First.
I'll take Pittman and all the risk is on the other side. So I'll take Pittman.
Yeah, you're getting the first. They're like similar assets to me in Dynasty when it comes down to it, personally.
Yeah. All right. Efficient way to move AJ Dillon, add him to a wide receiver to make an upgrade. Wasn't great, but I moved London and AJ Dillon for Olave. Love London, but I need points. Then Jones will get hurt a week later. Yeah, I love this in redraft. London is not
because it wasn't great. It was great. That's a great move.
Yeah, it is great. Assuming it's a redraft. In Dynasty, it's not great.
I assumed it's redraft.
It has to be redraft.
Good job.
In Dynasty, it's just okay. In
That's
Dynasty, I'd
very
rather have the
efficient.
London side.
Very efficient.
All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the questions. There's something else I really want to talk about, and yeah, I think
Under
we're good.
3 hours.
I know. Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, look, I was just clapping for the efficient way to move AJ Dillon, but clap to you guys, all of us.
Yeah.
We
I
did
want to
it.
clap for myself. That feels a little.
If you
I'll,
made
I'll
it
clap
to the,
for you. I'll clap for
if
you.
you
Oh,
made it
thank you.
if you made it to the end of the show, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. That you can also send me a super sticker or a YouTube membership if you want to support the channel. As always, my Patreon is the best way to support me directly. And you know, they recently changed things that the subscription is monthly no matter when there's a link. The subscription is monthly no matter when you sign up. So no matter when you sign up, you get the same month-long subscription at any time. And then yeah, just thanks to everyone for watching. And I'll be live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern with STLF. He's not a top 12 running back.
No, yeah. I was shaking my head. I saw that pop up. I was like,
And then, yeah, so just tune into that. I might go live at some point tomorrow if there are actually some trades. I might do like a surprise stream. That'll probably be here, and it'll probably be me alone. But I don't mind. I love doing Tyler solo. People say it hits different. So, but yeah, I will. Yeah, he might have said top 10, but I disagree. So yeah, thanks to everyone once again. Audience is great. Chat was great. You kept us occupied the whole time. It was great. We fell so far behind, which is always my goal, to fall behind on the chat. And yeah, thanks to all the co-hosts for coming on. And yeah, I will see you all later.
Peace.
Yes.